3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
4 seconds, 3 seconds left. Why are they not fouling? Jumper Murray got it to Horn. Denver mounts the comeback. They come back from 20 points down. They win game number 2. 101 to 99 is the final. And the Lakers can take that L on the way out.
Nuggets Radio trolling the Lakers. Oh boy, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, a 20-point blown lead. Perloff, the Lakers are in an 0-2 hole. This was a collapse that Laker fans are going to remember for quite some time, and it brings the total to 10 straight losses, the Lakers versus the Nuggets.
Yeah, I think you're going to hear a lot of autopsy of the Lakers, what they did wrong, what they're missing, what's not around LeBron. I just think they're running into a generational talented team. They're running into a team that we're going to put up with the, maybe not the 80s Celtics, but this is a real championship team. The Lakers did nothing wrong here. I know they blew a lead.
Nothing wrong.
LeBron got a little tired around the rim, and they obviously ran into the altitude, but this could be, the Lakers could be the second best team in the NBA right now. And they're going to go out in the first round.
Okay, that's a story for another day about seeding and playoffs and how this all happened.
But I'm just
talking
saying
about a game last night where if you really are the second best team in the NBA, even if you are playing up against a great team, you can put them away when you're up 20.
Yeah, not in Denver. Honestly, not when Jamal Murray and baby giraffe Michael Porter and Jokic are coming at you. I think the Nuggets are unstoppable. They're relentless at home. I'm not even going to kill it. Obviously, the Lakers ran out of steam, which one does in Denver.
Yeah.
You're saying they blew it.
They definitely blew it.
I don't feel like this is a blowout. I feel like they're going against this great team, and they just couldn't. They came up a little bit short.
Okay, well then that means you must think the Nuggets are there with the Celtics and with the Chicago Bulls, because if you think that the Nuggets are the best team and the Lakers could be the second best team and they can't salt away a 20-point lead, or not salt away, but they can't hang on for a 20-point lead and to win the game, you must think the gap between the Nuggets and everybody else is as wide as the Grand Canyon. Because
in Denver, yes.
But I think that's a disrespect to LeBron and Anthony Davis, and the fact that if you were good enough to get the 20-point lead, right? If you are good enough in how they played against Jokic, Anthony Davis, they were doing everything right, the Lakers were, and then somehow, like midway through the third quarter, it just flipped.
Yeah.
Everything flipped. Jokic started being the man. All of a sudden, Jamal Murray, who could not hit a shot to save his life, not around the rim, not from deep, could not hit a shot. All of a sudden, he sees the ball go through the basket. The role players were stepping up. A couple calls go whatever way. We can talk about the referees in a moment, but I mean, this is such an indictment on the Lakers. This has to feel like they're down 100 games to none, not 2 games to none.
See, that's where I disagree. It's an indictment house. You're getting Pete Pilati school of who's a loser and who's a winner. This is an indictment. I just think everyone's going to look at this series, which the Nuggets are going to win, and be like, man, the Lakers, they blew it this year. Yeah, they blew it, but this is such a great team they're going up against, especially in Denver. I mean, come on, can't you credit the Nuggets with the win here? I know it was a 20-point lead early in the third quarter.
Yeah.
But come on, this is the NBA. Did that really feel insurmountable at any point? Not even close.
The Lakers had, every time this season they've had a 20-point lead, they've won that game.
Yeah.
And I realize it's the regular season, but they've done that on the road and at home. And I can't just say because you're playing at altitude, that means you automatically just concede the game.
It's not a matter of conceding. You just lost to a better team. You lost. I mean, honestly, what are you supposed to do? Jamal Murray did a step back 20-foot jumper with no time left. What are you supposed to do defensively as some of those plays? What are you supposed to do against Joker? What are you supposed to do when Michael Porter, who's the third or fourth option, cannot miss a three? At a certain point, you have to concede that the Nuggets are a dominant team, especially at home.
Well, I think there were mistakes made along the way. And I think that Darvin Ham is probably going to be the guy who ends up wearing most of this, right? Because the coach usually does in the NBA. But I think there were timeouts that could have been called when you saw that your team was starting to run out of gas. I think there were challenges that could have been executed, especially like this weird sort of almost non-foul on LeBronJames in the final minute as he's driving to the hoop. He makes a huge federal case out of it, even though it felt like really incidental contact. But you might want to challenge that if you're Darvin Ham, because you saw the Nuggets get the benefit of those challenges earlier in the game where there were some real, in some ways, ticky-tack, in other ways, D'Angelo Russell getting scraped across the face. The Nuggets challenge that, and the Nuggets win the challenge, and they end up overturning that call. The officials were inconsistent for sure. I thought that Darvin Ham really didn't do a great. Listen, is it on the margins a little bit? He's not the reason they blew 20-point lead, but there were little things the coach could have done to help them out.
Well, first of all, LeBron lost his credibility by complaining about every call from the opening whistle, even when he would just elbow somebody in the head and be like, oh, he hit me on the arm. Like, if LeBron was on a pickup court, he would have been kicked out for lying about calls from moment one of that game. Okay. But I don't think there's any. Why did somebody have to wear this loss? Like, they're not the favorite. They're the 7th seed. There's no wearing it. They're an underdog, and they fought hard. Nobody's going to walk away and get fired from this game, in my opinion. I think the fact that they're honestly hanging with Denver in Denver is kind of impressive. I don't see it as man, the Lakers blew this.
Wow.
There's no blow it. This is defending champion at home at full strength with their stars in their prime, where meanwhile, you get a good game from Davis, but he faded, and you really going to expect D'Angelo Russell to carry you. I think the Lakers had a valiant effort. They're just going against the best team in the NBA.
Wow. I mean, that is a very generous read here for the Lakers, I think, because you're essentially handing them a participation trophy. LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Davis is having an all-time game. And aren't you questioning, instead of saying, they tried their best, aren't you wondering, why didn't Anthony Davis get the ball in the fourth quarter? Why? Davis had been killing them. He was killing Jokic. He was awesome. he was non-existent, literally did not score a point in the fourth quarter and attempted one field goal to go along with one rebound. Why wasn't Davis more involved? Because I don't think that was fatigue.
You don't?
Well, I don't. And if it is fatigue, then that's Darvin Ham. This is not your first time playing in Denver. I think that he has been conscious of his substitution patterns, which he got killed for early in the year. But if you think that you have to save guys for the fourth quarter, then you've got to figure out how to do that. Rui Hachimura's got to play better. There's a lot of things to point to here, not just tip of the cap to the Nuggets, and we'll take our L and we're going to move on. That's such a loser's lament.
This is the NBA playoffs. So you're saying, well, you know what? This is Darvin Ham's fault for not having Rui Hachimura play better. You're going against Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Jamal Murray. You're not going to win this game with Rui Hachimura. This is an inferior team here.
Listen,
and to kill Darvin Ham, honestly, I don't care if you have John Wooden combined with Phil Jackson. There's no coach who is going to go in and win that game against a team like Denver.
Okay, well then how did he coach them to a 20-point lead? Because that wasn't Murray.
It's an NBA 20-point lead. That means nothing.
I get that. Murray was missing shots, I understand, but he and Jokic, I thought, looked out of it, especially in the second quarter when Anthony Davis really started to cook. He just seemed like he was out of it. Then he gets back into the game, of course, and he starts, with the amazing passes and the outlet passes and all of that. Let's hear from LeBron, please, Pete. Says the Lakers had their chances, but they do have to hold on to a 20-point lead.
We know they're going to get into a rhythm at some point. We know they're going to make runs, especially on their home floor. Just have to withstand them, and, I think we did. Obviously, we gave up a 20-point lead, and that's unfortunate. But 20-point leads in this league is not safe, especially against the defending champion. We got to do better with that, but we got our chances.
All right, had the chances. I mean, listen, he's taken this pretty well. I know they want to make the officials out to be the boogeymen here, and there was plenty to criticize about the officials, especially when you go to replay. We think in the NFL, when you go to replay, I think generally when they're looking and reviewing on video, I think the NFL does generally get it right. I mean, we have no idea what a catch is, so that's always an issue. But we're talking about the Lakers game, and we can even talk about the Knicks 76ers, which had some questionable calls as well. It's weird to go to replay and get things so egregiously wrong.
I mean, what's egregious in today's NBA when nothing's a foul, though? So you're saying the replay has a different standard than the regular play? So just call it the old style where actually you hit a guy and it's a foul, and then so replay, they're kind of extending this new officiating philosophy where there's no foul.
Yep.
You can hit a guy all you want.
Yep.
So that's by the way, in the NBA, I think they should market test this a little bit. I don't think people know about this rule thing.
Well, they changed literally in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I think it's going to cause some
anymore.
Huge problems at the end of the season. This is in the first round, and already people are like, wait, what's happening here? You're just allowed. I've seen twice where people have been trying to intentionally foul people at the end of the game, and the officials are not calling it. So it's so you're saying replay, you should call it back to the old sensitive way?
Well, I'm just thinking if you are looking at the foul and you're looking at it in slow-mo with 100 angles, it's still a foul.
But it's kind of incidental contact. Yeah, they're saying it's not really, we probably wouldn't call that in real time. They're being
but if they called it in real time, then they're overturning them.
That's
what they're saying
when they're looking at it, they're like, well, that probably wasn't the level of foul that we're calling, right? I mean, I know you're talking about the Sixers-Knicks game. Honestly, if that was in real time and they saw it, they're they probably don't want to call that call anymore. They don't want incidental contact to be a foul.
Right, but so we're talking about some calls last night, Lakers, Nuggets, also 76ers, Knicks, that were questionable. Here's my thing. I think if the foul is called on the field or on the court,
right.
I do think that creates the higher standard, right? Where if you're going to overturn it, you have to see irrefutable evidence that the call was just wrong. You have to overturn literally the call on the court. I don't think that raised to the level last night, especially with the D'Angelo Russell getting hit across the face specifically. And that was about 40 seconds left in the third quarter when the Nuggets are mounting their big comeback.
Right, but they're erring on the side of nothing is a foul. I mean, they're consistent. Yeah. Nothing is a foul anymore.
Consistent since January. I mean.
Yeah, so, I understand what you're saying, but again, everybody's acting like the Lakers blew something. To me, you didn't blow it. You just ran into the wrong team at the wrong time. I mean, if the Lakers win that game, do you think they win the series? I don't know. I think Denver is unstoppable right now. I really expect this team to win another title. And I think the Lakers, it fell the wrong way. I'm sorry this is happening to you in the first round. If this was the conference finals, it would feel a lot better. But, this just happens this way. They ran into the best team in the league, especially in Denver. I think they'll probably steal a game in L.A. I mean, Denver can't win 40 straight games against the Lakers.
Well, they could have pierced the armor a little bit last night with a win, especially one where you had this lead. Again, I know 20 points in the NBA is not exactly, a total blowout, but you are a really good team. But you should be able to win that game.
You do have a problem with LeBron, can't really do it for 4 quarters. I mean, will you agree with, he's brilliant, and even at the end, he had some amazing moves. But
12 points in the fourth quarter last night.
You're not going to get a consistent finishing LeBron for 45 minutes of a game. I just don't think he has that in him anymore. Well, I saw he was 4 for 11 from around the rim last night. Prime LeBron was never 4 for 11 around the rim. So I just think there's many, many, many moments of brilliance, but you don't have the consistently relentless LeBron from early on. If this was 10 years ago, LeBron wins that game, but it's not.
No, it's not. But I mean, I also think that LeBron is probably used to enjoying some calls that he wasn't getting.
Yeah.
And the Lakers as a whole only attempted, 13 free throws, which is, I think, that's near a season low, where Denver got 17.
I thought also there were a lot of plays where, actually with both sides, where Anthony Davis would hit a shot. I'm like, oh, he kind of got N1 there. There's a lot of physicality, but that's what they're doing now. That's the new game.
And listen, ultimately, it was the 3-point attempts, and it was, Jamal Murray just coming back from the dead, and he had a 14-point fourth quarter. Let's hear LeBron complaining about the officials. Pete cut for not just in his game, but also in that Knicks 76ers game.
I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest. I think I said it this year or last year, whatever. D'Lo clearly gets hit in the face on a drive. What the do we have a replay center if it's going to go? It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It bothers me. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but that is And then I just saw what happened with the Sixers Knicks game too. What are we doing?
I believe what he's talking about there is a rebound that Dante DiVincenzo appeared to have. Is this the one he's talking about where Kyle Lowry smacks it out of his hands? It's clearly a foul, and they go to the replay. They call the foul, right? And they go to replay because the 76ers challenge it, and the 76ers won the challenge. And it was pretty crazy. We got a lot more from the Eastern Conference game, but let's keep it on the Lakers-Nuggets for right now. Do you think the Lakers blew this game, or did the Nuggets win it? I mean, there's only two ways, or one way you can look at this. I saw it as a Lakers collapse. Everything that was working for them throughout the game, they went away from in the fourth quarter outside of LeBron hitting some big shots. That's, to me, a collapse. You were dictating the game, and then you gave it away.
Yeah, to me, I just enjoy watching this Nuggets team. They're incredible. I'm a huge Michael Porter fan. I don't know why. He kind of plays like I do. He just hangs around the three-point line. He's taller than everybody. It's such a beautiful shot. When he hits a three, there is nothing but net every time. Love Jamal Murray. I really appreciate this Nuggets team, and I'm late to the party. This could be, to me, an all-time team. Now, the fact that they have to battle with a team like the Lakers to the end scares me a little bit, that maybe they won't repeat. But it's kind of beautiful to watch, in my opinion. Just the way they play as a team is great. And I also really appreciate this Lakers team. I think they are really nice effort, nice try. I know you hate that.
Wow. Good job, good effort is the meanest thing you could ever say to a team who just lost a game like this.
It kind of reminds me, remember the Utah Jazz used to run into MichaelJordan, the Bulls, and I appreciated the Jazz. Yeah, they didn't win it all, but that was awesome that they played as well as they did. They just went against the best team. I'm actually fine with the Lakers effort, because they're the Lakers. They're 100 years old, and they have Darvin Ham as their coach. What do you expect? They're going to beat this team? I feel like your expectations are off, and that's why you're disappointed in this. I just think the fact that they went up against an all-time team and are scrapping away, that's kind of cool.
I know. How dare I think that the Lakers could actually win this game when they're up and they're cooking?
I'm not saying dare, but I mean, honestly, are we going to look? What an idiot I am. We're going to look back in June and be like, man, the Lakers really have this title. They just blew it at Game 2 against the Nuggets. It's probably not going to happen. They are just not as good a team. If there's a scenario, even if they win this game, are they winning the series? No.
They should still be thinking they can hang in the series. They were in Game 1, played really well. Game 2, they have a lead. This is as bad as it gets. And I feel like for the Laker fan, I get it. Perloff is not. He's not. You got to have you got to feel the disappointment of this one. I think you have to.
It's disappointing, but I don't think they're going to look back and say we should have won this series. I just can't.
Well, what about this game?
Maybe this game, they could have won
Definitely
this
this
game.
game.
But it wasn't also, this is the thing, it wasn't like the 76ers. They blew it. Like, at least the Nuggets, in the last 2 minutes, it was anybody's game. And as a matter of fact, like the last minute, I would have been surprised if the Lakers had pulled that out. Where the Sixers completely blew a 4-point lead with 30 seconds left. The Nuggets, like, you could see they kind of seized control. How much time was there left? I was shocked that D'Angelo Russell and LeBron James hit those shots to keep it. I thought the Nuggets were going to win by 5 at the end, because it seemed like they had taken the control of the game back. I'm not disappointed in the Lakers at all, which I understand, like, you'll call loser mentality, but I mean, come on. Somebody, there's a real Denver Nuggets are a defending champion for a reason. I think you're taking them too lightly.
I mean, got the second greatest player of all time. He's doing well in the fourth quarter. Got Anthony Davis, but that's just me. 855-212-4227. How do you see this? Are you with Perloff? Good job, good effort by the Lakers, but pat on the head, and then you go home to LA and we'll see what happens. Or you're like me. I'm disappointed. I'm ticked off. If I'm a Laker fan, I am just beside myself because of all the 10 losses that you've had to the Nuggets. This one is by far the worst, by far. And not just that, the feeling. I mean, maybe it will feel a little different by the time we get to the game on Thursday, but I doubt it. That is brutal. There's no other way around it. Your heart was ripped out and stomped on just when you had a little hope. Oh, it's so dirty word, that word hope. Yeah. Just when you had a little bit, the Nuggets came and squashed it out.
Do you have it? Do you have a time machine or something that's going to get LeBron 8 years younger for the rest of the series?
I mean, he wasn't the problem. He wasn't the problem.
Yeah, he was the problem. I mean, listen, Anthony Davis is obviously the best player on that team.
Yes, it is. And that's okay.
That's okay. It's just a matter of...
He played great.
It's just hard. I mean, how do you knock out Jokic? How do you knock out Murray? I mean, they just do not stop coming. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, to me, is just like the perfect role player. The Nuggets are perfect. You really, really, really have to take the next level. And the Lakers just don't have the juice to do that.
You could go to our social media at Maggie and Pearl if you want to vote on the poll. EJ back today off the big birthday, and happy birthday to you. Did the Nuggets lose this game? Did the Nuggets win this game? Did the Lakers lose it? And you're welcome to call us at 855-212-4227. Just getting going. We do have that other Knicks 76ers game that we've got to unpack. We had a big trade yesterday, I guess, in the NFL. We've got a lot to do here. Glad you're along with us. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
And Maxey gets knocked down. Hart takes it away. Out top to DiVincenzo. His shot won't go. Hartenstein the rebound. Hartenstein gets it out to Anunoby. DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13 seconds remaining.
I got to tell you, I was a little, the reason I'm not killing the Lakers, I was relieved that they blew it later in the night, so we didn't have to lead the show with the 76ers blowing it. My 76ers blowing it to the Knicks. That was quite brutal. There's no really other way to describe that.
I'm surprised you're even acknowledging that's brutal. Usually you say these losses roll off your back. By the way, the rare double bang from Mike Breen. Yeah. Thank you to the MSG Network for that sound. Walk us through. How are you feeling?
Wait, so was that MSG Network?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was doing the game on TNT?
It was Brian Anderson and Stan Van Gundy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
SVG was a disaster. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Okay. Because my Twitter feed was all Mike Breen with the double bang. I was like, oh, okay. That was a tough loss.
Okay,
but the
walk
thing
us
is,
through what you're feeling. Because you acknowledging that you're feeling anything after a big loss is, I think, progress and like a bit of what therapy would call a breakthrough.
So not really. I could care less because it was,
and we're back.
It was wild that Joel Embiid was on the court, right? Like, what the heck is going on here?
How many lives does this guy have?
Well, there's not even a lot. It's like all my friends were texting, like, what's going on here? Is he going to have to go to surgery right between the third and the fourth quarter? I thought like they did a small arthroscopic procedure. I mean, he's hurt. And he's out there scoring 35 points. I have never seen this. I've never seen a guy who can still score in the 30s when he's clearly injured. Like 6 weeks away from returning to the court. He's majorly injured. I have no idea how the Sixers got that lead. I understand how they blew it. That was super painful. All credit to the Knicks there. But what is going on with this Sixers team? How'd they get a lead with Joel Embiid not being able to play any defense whatsoever?
So I think I don't understand this either. You and I actually had a conversation on yesterday's show about whether Embiid should play last night. And that seemed like kind of a legit question. Do you rest him for game 2, bring him back for game 3? Then you look up in the middle of the third quarter, he's got 24 and 10. I mean, at the fourth quarter, you could tell he started limping a lot more. I don't know what they can do to try to, the woman there is like massage, working on his knee during the game.
I noticed that. I was
good
wondering,
luck, lady. I don't know how that's going to help, but
I kind of want to see if I could get her to work on my knee. She really seemed to know what she was doing, actually.
Listen, I don't think that woman is there for a reason.
No, you could tell she was a pro.
She's the guy. She
didn't crack
person.
A smile.
No.
That was very serious business.
I mean, they've paid Joel Embiid, $300 million? Whoever he wants working on that knee in the fourth quarter is who he gets. But unfortunately, it couldn't do much in the fourth, and that's, I thought, when he started to show a little bit of being limited. But you're right. I said, how many lives does he have? You can't kill this guy. He just keeps coming back and back and back, even if he's on one knee. I think what the 76ers have done actually very well is how they've played Jalen Brunson. And on the flip side, this is a credit to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson has not shot the ball well, and they're up 2-0. I mean, this is a Knicks team that is so calm in the craziest, most frantic, and most chaotic moments. How do they do this? And Hartenstein with the big offensive rebound, Hartenstein on the other end kind of disrupting Maxey's shot. That they are just calm executing the play.
I'll tell you exactly how they did it. Because Hartenstein was being covered and playing against a man who should have been in a hospital bed. You telling me Hartenstein's going to have that game against a healthy Embiid? I mean, Embiid was pathetic on defense and rebounding. Terrible. So they took advantage. They fully took advantage of that. That game, there's no way any of that stuff happens if Embiid is healthy.
Well, my counter to that is the Knicks all season have been one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the entire league, one of the best rebounding teams in the league. They've been great. They've been good on 3-point perimeter defense. They're just it's a Tom Thibodeau team. Yeah. They're going to be getting all those hustle 50-50 and not that the 76ers weren't hustling or playing hard. They were. I mean, they're going into the stands. Lowry's going into the stands, and Embiid's always on the ground. It's maybe if he stayed upright a little bit, he wouldn't be suffering all these injuries all the time. But it was crazy to have that last sequence. And what is getting a lot of attention and the controversy with the Knicks and the 76ers at the end of the game is whether or not Nick Nurse, the head coach of the 76ers, actually called timeout when Tyrese Maxey, they're inbounding the ball, under a minute left, and Tyrese Maxey goes to the ground, loses the ball, and Nick Nurse appears to put his hands together like a T for timeout, but he didn't really sell the timeout call. Then the ball becomes loose. Then he really tries to sell the timeout call, but at that point, the ball was loose. They never got the timeout. They never got to advance the ball. Why they didn't just call timeout out of bounds, Perloff? I mean, I don't understand that.
And the new NBA where you could just throw a guy to the ground and nobody cares. That's why if Embiid plays, I like the Sixers in Game 3 because I think the NBA is not going to love the way that ended. I thought that looked a little bad. So they'll give a million makeup calls because they don't really care about having a bias officials. I think I would bet on the Sixers in Game 3 because of the way that ended. That being said, I'm not sure Embiid's going to play another game. I mean, it might be over.
He definitely will. He always does.
I don't know. He always does, but this is last year. Remember, he was hurt in the playoffs, and he tried to gut it out, and it was terrible. He was just taking 30-foot shots. He didn't even try and go to the rim. This is way worse. I mean, he is legit injured. There's no stability on his knee. You got to end it. This is
then
over.
How did he score? How did he have a good game then? See,
I mean, it was actually quite a terrible game. I mean, he got destroyed on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay, but offensively, he was still hitting shots. I did love him taking the last shot, by the way. I mean, he is compromised. I know he's the reigning MVP, but he is compromised. Maxey has been playing well all game. I know he had missed the layup at the Hartenstein, but you're out at the perimeter. You're handing the ball off to Embiid with 1 second left.
I think they got stuck. I don't think that was the design. I think they wanted Maxey to shoot the ball.
I know, so shoot it.
Well, he was covered.
But so was Embiid.
I mean, at that point, you just had to do something. Actually, it was a pretty good effort. Nice shot, nice effort by him.
Rim.
They were down 3.
No, they were down 3.
They needed a 3. But, here's the thing. The Sixers, you're going to kill me, and Bilotti's not going to like this, but I am well aware, this team is, they might somehow have found a way to knock the Knicks off. This team is not going anywhere. There's zero chance. See, the Lakers, I think, have a legit reason to be upset because they could probably go to the finals if they could somehow figure out the Nuggets. There's no way the Sixers can win any. They could beat the Knicks because the Knicks are kind of depleted right now. There's no way they make any real noise in the East, right? I mean, and I wonder about the Knicks. Is there any way the Knicks can play at this level and do anything? It doesn't seem like these two teams are destined to go anywhere.
Interesting. That would not have been my takeaway from this.
Really? You think that either of these teams can beat another team in a series? Like who?
Yeah, I think they absolutely can. Who in the East is awesome besides the Boston Celtics? The East there's nothing.
I mean, the Sixers are going to probably be starting Paul Reed for most of this. I
can't do that because we thought yesterday that Embiid wasn't going to play last night, and he not only played, what do you have, 35?
And said they're going to win the series, though. He's not coming out.
But
you're telling me Embiid is going to do anything in this playoffs? Like, did you guys watch the same game I did? It's horrible to watch.
You should have won the game last night. What do you mean?
I don't know how. I have no idea how, because Embiid can only play on one side of the ball. He is a shadow of himself right now.
Let's hear Embiid. This is cut 11. He said, does this count as a guarantee?
I think it does.
Is this a Mark Messier guarantee?
It's the most non-confident guarantee I've ever seen, but it is a guarantee.
Here's Joel Embiid on the Sixers.
We should be 2-0, so we're good. We're gonna win this series. We're gonna win this. We know what we gotta fix. We did a better job today, so we're gonna fix it. But we're the better team, and we're gonna keep fighting.
I mean, it's not exactly Namath, but I think that's a guarantee.
But does that mean he's going to play? Like, that's what I'm really confused about. EJ, you saw the same thing I did. Like, that was an injured player. That was an injured NBA player.
Yeah, he was laboring. There was a play where Deuce McBride ran right by him, and Embiid was like, "Go right ahead. I'm not chasing you down." And Deuce missed the layup, I think, because he thought Embiid was chasing him down. I mean,
he went for a dunk and then changed his mind mid dunk or layup. What do I do?
Embiid limped off to the side on that play. He didn't just let him go. He actually started walking towards the crowd like an old man who was defeated.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, look, Embiid offensively is still a threat, and we saw that with 34 points, however many points he scored. He's hurt defensively.
But it wasn't a normal Embiid. He needed 29 shots to score 34 points. He's nothing like. I mean, he is always well over 50%. Maxey, by the way, was super sick and had the game of, again, is amazing. So I just don't know how the Sixers are doing. Here's my theory. There's only one reason the Sixers are hanging with the Knicks, because we have one tough Villanova player in Kyle Lowry compared to their 3 tough Villanova players. So it comes down to, you're talking about why are the Knicks so poised? Because they're basically the Villanova Wildcats.
It's working for them.
Yeah, but we have one Villanova player too. So that's my only hope. But
maybe he hit a couple free throws.
Honestly, the way Dame played, I think the Bucks, if they get Giannis back, are going to be heavily favored over the next team. Because the Knicks, how are the Knicks... Like, why are the Knicks not blowing out the Sixers? I don't quite understand. Because Brunson's not playing well, right?
Yes, Brunson's not shooting well, but you could credit the 76ers defense on that. You got give a little credit there. I think, listen, we'll maybe disagree. I know the Knicks are missing Julius Randle. I think now you're seeing that's an addition by subtraction, because Julius Randle is a good player. He is not a good crunch time player. And I don't know how much our audience is watching and locked in on Julius Randle. I know we're on in California and he was a Laker. He's just not a good crunch time player.
Right, but do the Knicks have enough offense to get by a better team? That's where I'd be worried.
Well, right now, DiVincenzo and Hart are playing so well offensively that I think maybe they do.
I mean, is Josh Hart really going to hit 7 threes a game?
I don't think so, but he did it for a second straight game, so I don't know.
Part of it is because the Sixers are putting so much attention on Brunson.
Yeah, it's not working.
They're daring Hart and everybody else to hit their shots.
Yep.
It's kind of working. I mean, the best shot the Sixers have. I think they're making up for an injured Embiid they're really frustrating Brunson. Brunson can't shoot. He's gonna pick it up too. I think that'd be good, but I am not impressed. I'm impressed by the Knicks' poise at the end. I like what you said about that, but they just don't seem to have the firepower to go make any real noise in the East to me.
Let's welcome in Andrew Bogusch, who's got headlines for us. Good morning.
Guys, good morning. Those headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. So call or click today and find out if we can save you hundreds on your car insurance.
I apologize for that one right there.
No worries. 3 significant playoff comebacks last night. 2 of them went Pete's way. First, his boy LeBron squandered a 20-point third-quarter lead in Game 2 in Denver, losing 101-99 on that Jamal Murray buzzer beater. That happened after his Knicks stole that W from the Sixers, scoring 8 points in the final 28 seconds for a 104-101 thievery and a 2-0 lead on Philly. A comeback that big and that late in a playoff game had only happened 3 previous times since the 96-97 season when the NBA began keeping detailed play-by-play data. Pete now should have had a perfect night. LeBron losing, Knicks winning, his Islanders up 3-0 in Game 2 in Carolina, but somehow, because they're the Islanders, they didn't win.
And there's still time left here. As Martinook backs it in, he scores! Jordan Martinook with the steal and the finish! And it's 4-3 Carolina! What a comeback!
Why even bother finishing the series?
Complete loser performance right there by the Islanders.
They
get lost. They deserve to be eliminated.
They allowed 3 goals in 79 seconds in the final 3 minutes of regulation, losing 5-3 in Carolina.
Gross, just gross.
The Hurricanes have a 2-0 series lead. I think I heard half asleep. It's the first time in Islander postseason history that they blew a 3-goal lead.
That's surprising, to be honest with you.
How is that possible? That many goals in how many minutes? Seconds?
Yeah, I mean, it was boom, boom, boom. That one that I played, they weren't even done discussing the previous goal.
Yeah,
when that guy scored that one.
They might as well went in a tunnel the way they played that last sequence.
They basically did.
It's awful. It's the worst. That's a fireable.
You already fired your coach once
that's
this year.
what I'm saying.
Can
you do it again?
They're not going to do it now. I'm just saying, for any other team, that would be considered a fireable offense. That the way they lost that game, that was horrible.
You know what's funny? We don't talk about this enough. I don't think the amount of hockey coaches who get fired. It is an epidemic. I know all professional coaches are kind of hired to get fired, but the hockey is insane.
It's like the NBA, but almost worse now.
I think it's worse than the NBA.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
Worse, better. I don't know how you want to. I'm sure all these fan bases are happy that their coaches are getting fired. Like, how many coaches have the Devils had in the last 5 years? 100?
Well, and the guy that they fired midseason just got rehired in Buffalo.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss this later, Lindy Ruff, which proves our theory. We've discussed this before.
There are only 5 coaches.
There are 32 NHL teams, and there's 33 available coaches. It's like musical chairs. You just saw somebody's out for 6 months, and he'll come back in somewhere else.
Slightly ignorant question. This person, it's Tortorella they're going to fire, right? It says
no, he's the Rangers coach.
No.
Hitchcock?
No, he's
Mike Keenan?
Nope, keep going. Scotty Bowman.
Oh, Laviolette's on the way out now.
No, he's taking the Rangers to the Stanley Cup.
Oh.
Yeah, Lawrence is with the Rangers.
Yeah,
so
Tortorella coaches your
Flyers.
Flyers. Who they wanted to fire because they lost their last 9 games or whatever to miss the playoffs. But we're discussing Patrick Waugh, who's the Islander coach, who Pete now hates.
Yeah.
And then Lindy Ruff was the Devils coach. Now he's the Sabres coach again.
All I know is Ron Hextall's daughter does the old Pierre Maguire sideline ice job. How about Ron Hextall? Is he in the mix here?
Doesn't he run the Flyers?
I don't know.
I think he did at some point.
But it's you're right, Maggie. I can't keep track of how many times they're firing the same guy I know and hiring the same guy.
It's just, you're right. It's the best take you've ever had. It's just there's actually 5 hockey coaches.
And they've all coached.
Peter DeBoer.
I feel like the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils, how much interplay has there been there?
And Flyers and Capitals. Like, it's
East
so
Coast
incestuous.
Guys, yeah. Anyway.
Other hockey last night, the Oilers took Game 1 from the Kings, 7-4, 5 assists for Connor McDavid. Vegas won its opener in Dallas, 4-3, and the Leafs got a split in Boston, 3-2. Back in the NBA, the Cavaliers fought off the Magic, 96-86 for a 2-0 lead. Donovan Mitchell scoring 23. Jared Allen
not going to be a net.
Had 20 rebounds. The Philadelphia Phillies on a 7-game win streak after a 7-0 win in Cincinnati. Ranger Suarez tossing 7 shutout innings. That's a 25-inning scoreless streak for him now. Travis d'Arnaud went deep for the 5th time in 4 games in the Braves' 3-0 decision over the Marlins. And the Blue Jays stayed hot. Winners now of 7 of 9 after a 5-3 W in KC. Before all of that, the Yankees took a 2-0 home loss from the A's yesterday afternoon, a game that manager Aaron Boone barely saw in person. On the 4th pitch of the game, an Oakland batter got hit by a pitch on the foot. The Yankees thought he swung, though. Boone yelled at the umpires when the appeal was denied, was told to be quiet by home plate umpire Hunter Wendelstedt, and he got quiet. But on the next pitch, Wendelstedt heard something and threw Boone out of the game. The problem was the yelling came from a fan sitting behind the Yankee dugout.
It's embarrassing. It really is it's embarrassing.
Boone was then asked if they'll complain to MLB HQ.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but just just, not good.
I feel like if you had just fast forward, like rewinded 30 seconds, Boone just on a phone screaming at somebody at the league office, and he had that running through his head, like I just reamed somebody out.
And the worst part about all that, he can't say what he really wants to say because he'll get fined. Meanwhile, the umpire won't have any accountability.
That umpire has to get suspended. Let's be real. He has to get suspended.
Hunter Wendelstedt.
And then what I can't stand about this
on
stuff,
our country.
The fact that I'm this angry about this, and I'm a Mets fan, I don't like the Yankees, shows you how ridiculous it is. This clown then went into the pool report and then doubled down on his take. Like, oh, well, there was something being yelled at the dugout, so somebody has to pay. So I just put it on Boone.
Although sometimes when the fans have bad behavior, the team is the one that does get penalized for it. But I agree with you. I mean, Hunter Wendelstedt, another one of these guys who always makes it about him. I have a solution, though, for the Yankees. So this is a Monday game at 1 o'clock. They said 35,000 people were there, but I don't know about that. The tickets behind home plate, where Aaron Boone and behind the dugout, are so expensive. There was like 2 people sitting there, it looked like. Maybe make those tickets a little cheaper, and maybe they'd be filled in a little bit more, and that guy's voice wouldn't have carried to Hunter Wendelstedt's big ears.
Yeah, but cheaper tickets means probably more riffraff coming in, and there's more yelling.
I don't think the tickets are that cheap.
He was looking for something there, the umpire, and a lot of them do that and don't get called out for it, and that's a big problem. This happened not just once. It's not the only time this has happened.
Well, and how about we use replay now, right? The shot from the third base dugout camera shows you Boone not saying anything.
Exactly.
Like somebody's sitting in MLB headquarters, the only game going on yesterday afternoon, buzz in and go, "You got this one wrong, Hunt."
Yeah.
No,
Hunter,
but once you kick him out, I think that's binding.
We can
I
fix
agree.
everything.
I totally agree. Now, there's another part of this. I don't know if people realize this necessarily across the country about Aaron Boone. This dude gets kicked out of games all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
he does not get the benefit of the doubt because he's the nicest guy in person. If you ever meet him, he's totally calm. But when he gets his money's worth when he gets kicked out.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not slumping, but they're also not at their best right now, and they weren't hitting yesterday. Like, that could have been a game where he got thrown out on purpose to try and rile guys up.
Not the first
that,
inning.
not five pitches into the game.
And they're
The
playing the
manager
A's.
does nothing in MLB. But I'm sorry, if I was up, you're out of here. I love just the way he did that. It was classic Enrico Palazzo style. That ump was like, that he practices that at home. You're out.
You can't throw the umpire out of the game.
No, I'm saying the umpire throw the manager. Like that was.
Here.
I mean, what are you going to do? If you if you were an umpire, you'd be throwing people out left and right.
Damn right I would be. No one talking to me. No one talking back to me.
I don't care if it was from the fourth row. You're out.
That's right. Throw the whole section out.
Pilati would be a combination of Hunter Wendelstedt, who was Cowboy
Joe West.
I think you'd be better than Angel Hernandez.
Anybody could be better than Angel Hernandez. If you don't know the game of baseball, you could be better than Angel Hernandez.
I actually think sometimes someone who just had vision in one eye might be better than Angel Hernandez because you line it up a little bit better, like you line up a putt.
You could be wearing a mask, you're better than Angel Hernandez with no sight whatsoever. He is the worst official ever.
Well, Hunter Wendelstedt just entered the chat.
Well, look, we haven't really heard much about Hunter Wendelstedt beyond
He's
this.
fine.
Angel Hernandez, every week you hear about something with him. It's the worst. He might as well bet on games like Tim Donaghy did. I mean, the way he goes about things, it's ridiculous. And there's the umpires can't get punished whatsoever.
Mic drop.
Thank you.
And scene. It was pretty amazing. I can't believe that happened yesterday. Bogusch, all good?
I'm good.
All right, we're going to see you next hour. Coming up, we have one of the big moving pieces, if you will, before the draft. Got that for you in just a moment. Maggie and Perloff, don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, so Adam Schefter did like a what I'm hearing before the draft column for ESPN yesterday, and there's a lot of stuff in there. And one thing that really took some people by surprise was this sort of kind of maybe an afterthought line, but yet it's in this column, which is the idea that could Atlanta, the Falcons, be in the market for Michael Penix? Could he be an option for them at 8? Listen, I think Penix is a great player. I would not be shocked if he goes on to have this really great NFL career. I believe most teams probably have a second-round grade on Michael Penix Jr., and so I'd be surprised if he got all the way up to 8. Also, you just signed Kirk Cousins.
Well, I kind of disagree about most teams in the second-round grade. I'm not sure that's necessarily true. I don't know, but Kirk Cousins has basically what's a 2-year deal, $50 million guaranteed that's kind of spread out over 2 years, 4 years, $100-something million. So would you sit Penix for 2 years, or is it because they're worried about Cousins' health coming off the Achilles? It is baffling that they would be the team. I think a more likely scenario is somebody trades up to 8 with Atlanta and wants to trade down and gets Penix there because it's you're right. I totally don't understand it because of the Cousins contract. If they had no Kirk Cousins, if they were like Denver and had no quarterback on their roster, then maybe I could understand Penix. Feels a little high. I agree with you there. I get Penix around 12, 13 with the Broncos and the Raiders, but the Kirk Cousins thing makes it completely baffling, right? There's no explanation that makes any sense.
Well, listen, I get maybe the Falcons don't want to repeat the mistake that the Jets did last year, which is the Jets had Aaron Rodgers and they didn't have a good backup. They didn't anticipate that he was going to tear his Achilles 4 plays into the season. Now, this is the flip side, which is Cousins has already torn the Achilles, so to not have a competent backup, there's really no excuse for it, right? Like, you have to go in. Kirk Cousins is, 35 years old, coming off an Achilles. You must have a solid backup for him.
Okay, let me throw one little curveball into this. According to Schefter, they are facing punishment this week from the NFL for tampering with Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins was talking to members of the team before the window for tampering opened.
Right.
What if they know they're about to lose next year's first-round pick and basically at some point they want a quarterback? Maybe this is their best chance. It's the only thing. Maybe that has completely changed their thinking.
Man, that's the best theory I've seen. I mean, Schefter didn't draw those to connect those dots, but that's the best I can see if you really think you're going to lose your first-round pick. But the problem is that if you're the Falcons and you just signed Kirk Cousins, where do you expect that first-round pick to be next year anyway? You're hoping you're not only winning the division, you're trying to rip off a Super Bowl here.
What about this? Can I tell you on this? They have a second pick this draft, number 43. What if Bo Nix or maybe Penix falls there? That makes a lot of sense, right? A second-round pick on a young quarterback who could be the first backup.
Yeah, the irony about the second round pick for the quarterback is you still are drafting a guy high enough that, it makes some kind of ripple effect in your building, yet you don't get the 5th-year option. So you basically give up a year of control and you've still created something in the building.
Well, the Patriots, the two smart teams, the Patriots got Jimmy G in the second round, the Eagles got Jalen Hurts in the second round. Second round quarterback, I'm fine with in this situation.
Coming up, back to the NBA last night. This was just brutal from the LA Lakers. We got the gory details on how they blew a 20-point lead next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
It was just devastating. If you are a Laker fan, I don't know how you're sleeping. I don't know how you're getting up and going to work today, so kudos if you are. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff, it was just pure devastation because the Lakers have had this trouble beating the Nuggets. Before this game, they were 0 for 9, now counted 0 for 10. But this one was especially brutal because you had a 20-point lead on the road and you were playing great.
Yeah, you say that, but you're going against a team like that. It reminds me of the 90s Bulls. Like, how do you knock these Nuggets out? I think you're taking the Nuggets a little for granted there in that formula because the Lakers are playing great, and I'm really proud of LeBron for gutting it out for all us old guys.
What are we doing here?
But
proud of LeBron for gutting it out.
Yeah, I mean, really proud of your effort and those that dunk that was really cool. It barely got over the rim towards the end. But you're going against a great team. I think a team that we're going to be talking about in 15 years. It's much like the San Antonio Spurs of the 2000s, that little Lakers run, with Kobe and Shaq. This is a real kind of mini dynasty in the modern NBA version. So to me, it's like, yeah, you just went up against a juggernaut.
Okay, but see, this is where you're still devastated if you're a Laker fan. All that might be true, but you had the team on the ropes, and you couldn't finish them off. I get sometimes those immortal teams, they feel like they're just a machine and unstoppable, but you actually did make the adjustments. You actually did, Davis was just having this unreal game, and then in the fourth quarter, it was like they couldn't find him. They couldn't get him the basketball. You totally went away from what was working. I thought that was more the Lakers going away from it than the Nuggets making these defensive adjustments. It was all of a sudden like everything that had been going right for LA, just the tide completely turned. Right. And Jamal Murray started hitting some shots.
But, I mean, isn't this every Lakers-Nuggets game since the end of time that eventually Davis and James wear down a little bit, especially Davis? So how many times do you have to see this movie? What did you expect to happen? It was same script in game one, same script going back to the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers, I mean, it was early on in the second quarter when the Lakers were up by about 10. I think everybody in the world thought the Nuggets were eventually going to go on a run and take this. I was actually watching the live odds. The Nuggets barely ever became real underdogs. Even when they were down 20, you couldn't get a good bet on them. So I think everybody knew the run was coming. The altitude's a real thing, too. Let's not forget that. That's in Denver. You had to know the Lakers were going to wear down. That Anthony Davis never keeps that up for a whole game.
Okay, then how do they ever lose a game? Like, if you're just going to say the altitude is some crazy home field, well, then how do the Salt Lake in Utah, how do they ever lose a game at home? They're at high altitude also. That to me is a bit of an excuse. I get it for game one because you're getting used to it, and you might not have a lot of time to acclimate, but now you're a professional athlete who's been in town for like 4 days.
You're 100 years old, and you're Anthony Davis. Of course the Lakers wore down. The Nuggets are a younger, deeper, more versatile team. I think it's natural that they are going to eventually have a run almost every game because that's been the formula, right? The Lakers, as many runs as they make, the Nuggets always have an answer and come back toward the end of the game. So are you surprised? Like, did you really think the Lakers were going to come away with that one last night?
Yes, I really did.
When it got into the final minute, then it was anybody's game, and you had to give the Nuggets the edge.
Okay, well, but not really, because I saw LeBron score 12 points in the fourth quarter. I saw that the Lakers were right there. I mean, again, it's not like something happened where you're up 20 and there was an injury or someone had to leave the game or somebody was getting in this crazy foul trouble. Nothing like that happened. Not the typical things that could bring a team back. None of that stuff happened.
Okay.
And yet the Lakers were still there, and they still, here's the thing. If you can't hold, I know 20-point leads aren't what they used to be in the NBA, but this game, with the formula they had that was working, I mean, I can't have you call the Lakers the second best team in the NBA and you can't win that game. Then both of the things can't be true. They can't be the second best team in the NBA by your estimation and also a team that could blow and choke away a 20-point lead.
I'm not sure. Okay, I said that they could be the second best team. I'm not positive they're the second best team, but I think it's a really funny narrative, the way that the Lakers are probably going to go down the first round, and everyone's going to say, wow, LeBron couldn't even get out of the first round. Right. That does not tell the true story of what's going on here. I think that the Lakers are a really good team and probably have the tools to challenge Denver like nobody else does. I think Denver might roll through the rest of the West. If the Lakers and Anthony Davis are their big problem, and once they dispose of him, then I think it's going to be easy street. I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe Clippers or Dallas makes a run. But I think the Nuggets are in great shape. I think they're just too big. They have everything. What are they missing? There's nothing they're missing. They're totally poised. See, a team that blew it was my Sixers. They were up 5 with 47 seconds left. That is nothing like what happened with the Lakers. The Lakers let the Nuggets get a run. Once it got to basically a tied game with 2 minutes left, that was anybody's game. So, of course, the home team won.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were mistakes made along the way where the Lakers, I don't know if they would have changed the outcome necessarily, but I think it would have given your team a better shot. And can we hear the final call from the Nuggets side of it? Now, the final call from the Nuggets side of it, because this is interesting. This is from Nuggets Radio Network. And listen, this is the final possession here with Jamal Murray is about to hit a game winner.
4 seconds, 3 seconds left. Why are they not fouling? Jumper Murray got it to Hard. Denver mounts the comeback. They come back from 20 points down. They win game number 2. 101 to 99 is the final. And the Lakers can take that L on the way out.
I mean, that was a dagger of a call right there, and a little trolling of the Lakers on the way out. I think there is some personal stuff going on between these two teams. But, I mean, that's a question there. Should they have fouled? I mean, should they have tried to foul and intentionally foul? I know that the officials have been different lately.
I wouldn't even call it, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you try to hope that the intentional fouls get called, but I realize that sometimes they're not. I mean, I think there was some strategy stuff. I think that Darvin Ham's going to end up wearing this. I think they're looking for the scapegoat anyway. Earlier in the season, his rotations were getting called into question. You're talking about timeouts. You're talking about when to challenge some of these calls that Denver challenged and that seemed crazy to challenge them. Even Reggie Miller's like, what are you doing? And Denver ends up winning these challenges. Like, that's coming from headquarters. That's not a home court thing.
So you think Ham's job is in jeopardy?
I do. I do. Now, I also think LeBron is plotting his next move here. I think LeBron is probably going to, once the series is over, or maybe even before then, especially during an Olympic year when you're together with all the best players, I think that he's going to be figuring out where his next team is. We talked about that yesterday. So
yeah,
Ham could keep the job or not. I think LeBron's going to be gone.
That's funny. I feel like Ham has had a little bit of a better second half of the year.
Yeah,
they've really been one of the best teams in the league since February 1st. I never thought that Ham was in real trouble of losing his job. Maybe you're right. I come back to last night. I think the Nuggets won that game more than the Lakers completely blew it. Honestly, you got the big shot. I was shocked how well D'Angelo Russell played. That was surprising to me. And LeBron got the big shot at the end. But, I mean, come on. Look at that shot Jamal Murray hit. Is that a fault of coaching? He had a great shot. He stepped back and he got the big guy on him. Like, give him credit. They won that game.
Let's hear Jamal Murray. This was his decision-making on that final shot.
Yoke was kind of looming, waiting for me to make a decision. And then I just, faked like I was going to shoot a three or do a step back or something, and then AD kind of pressed up a little bit. I just got to my spot, beat him to the spot, and I was able to elevate and make it.
Yeah, and he says this was a special moment.
I jumped pretty high, I faded a lot, and I just lost my balance and fell. And I just saw the ball over the rim. I think AD was in my way, or somebody was in my way. And I just heard everybody scream. That's how I know it went in. So it was a pretty cool moment.
I mean, unreal moment for Jamal Murray. And again, he couldn't hit anything. He was really, really bad. He couldn't hit anything at the rim. He couldn't hit any of his outside shots. I heard him talking to the TNT guys, Perloff, and he said, I went to the bench and I said, I can't hit a shot. I'm going to start finding you guys, and you're going to have to carry the load. And his teammates said, keep shooting. And he did.
I mean, what is the flaw on this Nuggets team? They can do everything. They're so far and away the best front court in the league, and the fact that KCP and Jamal Murray's their backcourt, I don't know the scenario where anybody beats them. Like, who's going to knock this team out? I mean, you're not even really, as you pointed out, they were not at full speed last night. Jokic was a little bit off. Murray was a little bit off. Porter emerging like this, unless he all of a sudden goes back to where he was. I mean, I feel like there's no chink about it. There's nothing wrong in this the way they're built.
Right.
I feel like there's no way to get to them.
Well, I think what ends up happening in these, like, let's say they face Boston, right? If they face Boston in the finals, let's just play this out.
Yeah, maybe there. Okay.
Then you don't have home court, right? Because when Boston have the home court advantage there, because they're the 1 seed and Nuggets are the 2 seed. So are your role players going to play as well in Boston, And are you going to get calls and all the things that come along with the home cooking? So listen.
That's a good one. That's when we get serious. Can we fast forward to that
but
series?
But you're talking about comparing them to maybe like the Kobe and Shaq Lakers who were like 4-4-4, or I dropped one game, I guess, to Allen Iverson.
I know it was only one game, but what about, we got to talk about the T-Wolves maybe. After what they did to the Suns and how Anthony Edwards is playing, they have the physicality in terms of their defense and the size.
You're talking about front court?
Yeah, I don't see that at all. That's interesting because I feel like, they'll do the thing that you do to the T-Wolves. You get Gobert out top and your guards just eat him alive, right?
That's what I think. But the T-Wolves have been the best defensive team in the NBA all season, and they just shut down the Suns. If it wasn't for Kevin Durant's, his play, they would have lost by 30 points in game one. I know it's only one game, but the T-Wolves played essentially the same game they played all season, and it translated just fine in game one.
Durant did have like 1,000 turnovers in that game too, though. He was
right,
super sloppy with the ball. I don't see it. I have trouble the poise and the veteran and the fact that they've been there before. I've been seeing these young teams, Oklahoma City and Minnesota specifically. Like, are they going to knock out Jokic in a 7-game series? If LeBron can't do it, here's what my thing is right now. If LeBron can't do it, I love Anthony Edwards, but where is he going to find the way to beat this team in the final minute? It just strikes me like I feel like the Lakers are the best shot almost.
But it almost feels like, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, watching the game last night, it feels like there's a psychological disadvantage that the Lakers are facing as well. I don't think it's
they've
all
lost 10 in a row.
Right. I don't think I don't think it's
Good
all
point.
physical because we've seen these teams play now 10 times and they're always competitive games. The Lakers are in these games. I've seen worse teams find a way to win these games against the Nuggets. The Nuggets, for whatever reason, they own the Lakers. And I'm starting to feel like now it's gone beyond just, okay, the Nuggets are just a much, much better team. I don't think they are that much better because they keep playing them close. I think the Nuggets know that they could go down 20, 30, 15. It doesn't matter. They're going to win the game at the end, and that confidence does a lot for you. And I think it's hurting the Lakers as well.
Well, and I think that's why you could find Darvin Ham on the hot seat here because I know he's not, they were losing to the Nuggets under Frank Vogel. I get that. But if you are, if there is a psychological hurdle here, then the the quickest, cheapest thing to do is going to be to fire the head coach and to try to get someone else in. I don't know if it's going to impact that part of it. But
he used no challenges and had 2 timeouts in his pocket going into the locker room.
I'm telling you, around the margins, I thought Darvin Ham could have affected this game and chose not to. I mean, let's actually hear from Michael Malone. He is the coach of the Nuggets, obviously, talking about how resilient his team is and how they were never out of this game.
It speaks to a team that's got tremendous confidence in themselves and, more importantly, in their collective. I mean, we're a championship team. We're the reigning champs. And, we might get down by 20 points, but, not going to roll over. I mean, that's not who we are. That's not who I am. And that's never been a part of Denver Nugget basketball in these last 9 years.
What's interesting about the psychological part of it? There was a player poll that was released on the Athletic website. So this was basically a third of the league participated in this poll. And they asked them lots of questions like who's the MVP, who's the most overrated player, whatever. And Jokic obviously won pretty overwhelmingly that he's the MVP. And they asked for some of the, describe Jokic. And this is some of it. He's unstoppable. Consistent, still winning, still affecting the team in a number of ways that's noticeable when he's off the floor. He's changed the game. His defense is underrated. He just knows the game so much. I mean, the way they talk about him is like he's one of the best players to ever take the court.
Well, he is. He's gonna start climbing up the all-time list. I think it wouldn't be shocking if he ended up between 15 and 10 on the all-time. We're talking I think when it's all said and done, he's not that old either. He could be right there with Tim Duncan in the all-time list easily. I get the comparison that works for me, by the way.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious, but he reminds me of Larry Bird a little bit, like the way he plays the angles.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron has a little bit of that. Just these brilliant players who can just see the court differently. He's that guy.
You want to know what's funny, though? This was a little bit tighter of a race on this poll. You're building a roster from scratch. Who are you going to sign first? And it was, again, very close. We're talking about percentage points.
Who, Wemby win that one?
Wemby won that one, 27.9 to Jokic, 27.2.
Yeah,
I mean, it's right there.
That's sort of a silly comparison in a sense. If you're building, Wemby's 19 years old and Nicola's 29, so that makes sense.
Would you like to know who the players in this players poll voted as the most overrated player? And it actually ties in to what EJ was just talking about with who can challenge the Nuggets.
Carmelo Anthony? Who?
Wow, still slinging.
I assume he's always won that poll, but who?
Rudy Gobert.
Well, yeah, but is Gobert highly rated?
Well, he keeps winning these Defensive Player of the Year award. If he wins a fourth one, he's going to be like with Dikembe Mutombo and some of these other all-time great.
Oh, yeah. By the way, one thing, I know I'm losing this Wemby bet, but the fact that Wemby's going to be second for Defensive Player of the Year and they're one of the worst defenses in the league, something's wrong. People, and Gobert is the same thing. Like, why do people think these tall guys are that good on defense? When you see the key to winning in the NBA is get your point guard on the 5 and just watch him. Kyrie Irving, if he gets Rudy Gobert on him, you might as well just not even play out the point. He's scoring 2 points,
no
right?
Doubt.
So I don't get it. All that.
Would you like to know who came in second in the most overrated, the league's most overrated?
Wait, let me guess.
This one feels particularly insulting.
Not
to me, but, you know.
Actually, I have no idea.
Insult to injury is how I would add.
Was it Julius Randle?
Jordan Poole.
How
in
is he overrated? Who rates him highly?
Punched in the face, and he's the one who's overrated. Also, for the person who overrated Jimmy Butler, and how dare you? I don't know. I didn't see that. Anyway.
Jordan Poole, by the way, played. I saw this big thing on his coach saying, man, he played really well at the end of the season. For what that's worth, or the second half of the season.
Awesome.
Those games televised?
The ship's going down.
I have no idea.
Might as well get your shots up.
I mean, I got to be honest, like, the Warriors kind of could use a guy like that right now, for sure, honestly.
Well, blame Draymond. 855-212-4227. Another shocking thing out of that poll, actually, it does have to do with the Warriors. Let's get to that next, because this, again, was a player poll, NBA players voting on these questions about who the greatest player of all time is. And this ties into the Warriors, and I was very surprised. We'll get to that next. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, we're getting a little pensive here with the music choices. Back on Maggie and Perloff, a little fast car. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I was saying before, I think we need a little more like hype up music, a little more like
but this is
DMX or something. We're just getting very pensive in some of our songs.
This is such a banger of a song, though. This is the Luke Combs version. I love the Tracy Chapman version.
But it's a banger of a song. It's not like you're playing in the locker room. Like it's a championship game. Let's play fast car and get out there.
Listen, we've played Whoop There It Is for a month.
That. Yeah, like pump up the jam.
Our Maggie and Perloff one-hit wonder bracket. We were Whoop There It Is, pump up the jam, jump around.
Yes, those are hype songs. This is the opposite. This is like, let's go in the corner and cry and lament our bad choices.
Well, I mean, the Lakers probably want to do that today.
Probably. I have another problem with the NBA. So I hated nothing more than James Harden and Luka Doncic drawing offensive fouls. I thought it ruined the game.
Yeah.
They would just fling their arms into a guy and officials would call it every time. The NBA said, enough of that. We're not going to call that anymore. Now they don't call anything. And I have to admit, it's very confusing. It's hard to watch. I don't understand what's a foul and what's not a foul. And at both games last night, the Lakers Nuggets and the Sixers Knicks, I found it kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't think the Sixers lost because of officials. I think there was some questionable calls at the end. There are a lot of calls where I'm like, wow, I can't believe they didn't call that because we would mug a Knicks player. And the same in Lakers Nuggets. Is this going to be a problem? Are we going to come down the finals? And people are going to be like, wait, what's happening here? Why are you allowed to be a pro wrestler on the NBA court?
I think it's like a lot of things. The NBA definitely had gone to one extreme.
Right.
And the All-Star game, I think, was some kind of tipping point. Or maybe it was even before then. I mean, I know the All-Star game
came out in January and made an announcement.
Earlier.
Yeah.
But it had gone so far where the team's whole strategy is get to the line 30 times. And I just think it's bad to watch, bad product. It slows the game down. And you're right. Nobody wants to watch James Harden just leaning into everybody to try to get a cheap call. So
you're right. There's no pace to that game at all. That's a really good point.
Yeah. And so I think that the NBA heard that, and I think they've actually gone a little too far in the other direction because you're right. Sometimes teams are literally intentionally trying to foul, and they're not calling it. That's a strategy. Like
you almost
have to save clock.
You have to punch a guy in the face to get a call.
Yeah. I don't think the league would like that either. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Brent is in Seattle. You're on Maggie and Perloff. Good morning, Brent.
Yes, hey there. I used to watch the NBA when we had the Sonics, and we simply didn't put up a building that was NBA that was quality for the NBA until it was too late, and so we lost the team. And I blame the city, and I don't blame anyone else.
Okay.
But the point is that when I was watching the Sonics, there was a game that I remember, the Tim Donahue game, and they were playing at Phoenix, and Phoenix had Charles Barkley, who was more marketable than any of the Sonics players. And so the Sonics just couldn't get any calls in that game. It was just ridiculous that Phoenix had so many more free throws.
Yep.
And that was a pattern with the NBA for a long, long time, where the teams that are more marketable would get the calls. And the teams that, like Denver, they're a great team, and they're the defending world champs, but nobody cares about them. They don't get television ratings. And so
right. But Brent, wouldn't the refs try to do everything they can to keep LeBron James in these playoffs? If we're really thinking that this is a predetermined, that the refs are trying to influence the outcome like that?
You would think so. So that's why I was happy to see the Nuggets won the championship last year when nobody cares about them. They're the best team. And what happened yesterday was that the Nuggets are younger and they're better.
Yeah.
And they came back and they beat the Lakers because the Lakers are old and washed up.
No, Brent, I hear what you're saying. I think the Laker fan has a right to be upset today. I don't think you go and you had the lead you had, you're playing the way you're playing, and the Nuggets storm back on you. LeBron's still very good in the fourth quarter, and you lose, and you're supposed to just say, oh, well, we'll get him next time. No, you won't. You never get him. And that's got to be frustrating because you've lost every kind of way to the Nuggets. You lose close games to the Nuggets. Now you're losing games where you had 20-point leads to the Nuggets. You can't figure these guys out.
Well, I think it is interesting that LeBron is not necessarily getting the Michael Jordan star treatment all the time. Sometimes he does. On the other flip side of the game in the East, if Isaiah Hartenstein breathes on Joel Embiid, that's a foul. So Embiid, and EJ, you know what I'm talking about. Embiid gets every call because the officials see Hartenstein running around like Frankenstein, basically. They're like, there's no way they can cover Embiid. So that's what I'm used to. That's how the NBA I grew up was if you got within 9 feet of Michael Jordan, it was a foul.
Yeah, right.
So the problem is obviously consistency. Like if you're going to call it this physical, it's really hard to officiate because, basically you can armbar a guy and not call it. So I'm worried about this for the rest of the playoffs. I think there's going to be a really big blown call.
Well, I think we're watching them. I think it's already impacting the playoffs. We're 2 games in and not even every series has had their second game yet. As far as the league wanting the marketable stars and all of that moving forward, I think you just talked about it. Superstars get calls.
Yeah.
If you're going to beat the champs, you really got to beat them. You've got to play the team and the ref and all that stuff. Who was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast that basically said this? It was a role player who said it, and he goes, but the thing is that's tough. We understand that the league wants the superstars and wants them to keep moving, advancing. But it also helps us.
How's that?
Because the more TV ratings and the more revenue that the league gets, those players split this with the league 50-50 basically, or 48, whatever. So even these role players understand, hey, we've got to be so good that we have to beat a star and the refs, but at the end of the day, this will help me. So it's a little bit of like a...
Egads, I can't imagine. Somebody actually said that?
Yes, somebody said this.
That is an overly honest moment. Any player who thinks that is... I can't believe it. A role player actually thought, well, it's cool that they call it. I think there was this guy retired. Because no active player. Yeah, no active player is going to say that, obviously.
I'll find it.
But the funny thing, too, it's not just about advancing the star. If you've officiated, but I don't know if you ever officiated basketball, you have to do a lot of guesswork. And when you see the really great player come down and he gets stopped on defense, you're like, well, that must have been a foul. So it's just natural inclination to give, if LeBron drives to the hole and misses the layup, you probably think, oh, he must have been hit. So that's natural. I don't think it's just advancing the stars. The best players get the calls because you have to do some guessing and anticipation.
And they're usually so good if you're going to stop them. To your point, you probably fouled them. But here's the question. Now, you and I always, I don't know if we disagree about this, but something you maintain all the time, which is the NFL has a problem with officiating. We all know this. They have a rule book issue. There's always so many controversial calls, and it does nothing to stifle the popularity of the league.
That's true.
In fact, it gets more and more popular, even though no one knows what a catch is. Nobody knows what intentional grounding is. I mean, there's so many things that are weird about the NFL.
Wait till they unveil that new kickoff rule.
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be a disaster. But anyway, do you think the same thing applies for the NBA? Because you think bad calls equals more intrigue and people will pay attention, they get upset about it, which kind of means they care about your league.
That is my theory. The controversy sells. Cheating scandals sell big time. Like everyone loves a cheating scandal. Deflategate was the best thing that ever happened in the NFL because it was a harmless cheating scandal that nobody thought, it hits to the core of the integrity of the game. Now, these bad calls in the NBA, the problem is like the NBA's got to make the product watchable. And I'm not sure it's achieving that. I think there's a happy medium where they have to guys have to stop playing so aggressively on defense. Like, man, you kind of pinned me here because I don't like the way they officiated now. I hated the way they officiated before. So I think that they have to find a happy medium and come maybe in the middle. Last night, for example, Tyrese Maxey at the end of the game clearly got pushed down to 13 seconds left in the game. If you're on offense, you get pushed to the ground, you have to call that. But I don't want them to call cheap fouls on James Harden. So they adjusted, now come back to the middle a little bit. And I'll bet you by the finals they might do that.
Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Hello.
Hello again, guys. The Nuggets win at the buzzer. The Knicks stunned the Sixers. There was a third NBA playoff game last night.
There was?
Yeah, no, I was. I think they started at 3 o'clock in Cleveland. Game 2 for the Cavaliers and Magic.
Cavs by 11 with the basketball. 4:15 to go.
Take them off the dribble. Now you got it.
Mitchell, run of the lane. Bang! Scores!
That's where the money is.
It's also where the win was last night. The highlight from Cavs radio, Mitchell scoring 23 in the 96-86 final. Cleveland takes a 2-0 series lead, something the franchise has never wasted in its playoff history. The Nuggets up 2-0 on the Lakers despite a 20-point third-quarter hole in Denver last night. The rally completed at the buzzer when Jamal Murray hit that right wing fall away over Anthony Davis at the buzzer. Murray the hero after missing 13 of his first 16 shots.
To miss, like I said, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, damn near 14, I don't know how many it was in a row. For all of them to tell me to keep shooting and none of them ever wavered in confidence in me hitting a shot is, I think pretty special. And then that's what really kept me shooting.
The 101-99 final is the Nuggets' 10th consecutive win over the Lakers, who did get 32 points and 11 boards from Davis. And then we get to those Knicks scoring 8 points in the final 28 seconds to stun the Sixers 104-101 at the Garden. Those 8 points were threes from Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo, plus 2 free throws from OG Anunoby. Oh, what could have been, Nick Nurse?
Played better in a bunch of areas tonight. Obviously difficult when it's so close and you kind of give it away at the end. It's obviously difficult in these circumstances.
And now his team down 0-2 despite 35 points from a sick Tyrese Maxey. Now, before we leave the NBA, I can't tell if this is good news or bad news for Pete. JJRedick, the co-host of his least favorite NBA podcast, will reportedly interview for the Hornets head coaching job. So, Pete, is the end of the podcast, if he was to get this job, is that good or is it bad if Redick is even more high profile than he is right now?
It's probably a little bit of both.
Oh, okay.
Wait, why does it have to end? LeBron's an active player, and he's on the podcast.
I was going to say, you are being way too optimistic if you think this podcast is ending just because Redick would be, the coach of the Hornets? Like, anyone even cares about the Hornets?
My assumption is he'd be a little too busy to fly and meet LeBron somewhere to drink wine and talk about inverted pick and rolls.
Oh, they will find a Zoom.
I totally disagree. I don't. I think he'll find to drink wine. JJRedick, go cross.
I actually think he's only interviewing for content for the podcast. I think that the podcast is still the main job.
Yeah.
Coaching the Hornets is the side hustle.
On a serious note, would he actually be allowed to do that?
Probably not.
Head coach, players, or some kind of tampering rule that would prevent them from sitting around talking?
Probably. But they could also, listen, they'll make an exception for LeBron, but they also can, if they use only clips from like 1990, you're not talking about active players.
Yeah.
If it's my team, goodbye.
I know one thing. The funniest tweet I saw last night was, how crazy you have to be an NBA head coach. The fact that you could have the #1 analyst job on ESPN, about to call the NBA Finals, podcast with LeBron James, and you're seriously considering coaching the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
Like, JJRedick, he's a basketball sicko. I'm going to give him that at least, because anybody considering leaving the job he has currently to coach LaMelo Ball is a lunatic.
It's a demotion. It's a demotion. I mean, it was one thing when Steve Kerr left to go coach the Warriors, who were definitely, everyone saw like, oh man, they really got something cooking here in Golden State. They've got nothing cooking in Charlotte. I guess maybe Brandon Miller.
I don't know. I'm not totally down with you guys. Don't you want to be really bad in the NBA? Isn't that the only way to get really good? They do it, Brandon Miller and LaMelo and
nothing else.
LaMelo's never healthy, though.
So what's the deal? I haven't even followed the latest on Miles Bridges. Is he there? Is he not there?
Yeah, he's there.
But
not sure how much.
Obviously, I know he's a terrible person.
Right.
Yeah,
He's
that's not a good
baller.
thing.
There's no chance he is turning down an NBA job to stay on a podcast. There's no chance in the world
This is
that's
the
going to
Hornets,
happen.
Pete.
I don't care. It's a team in the NBA. You have a chance to coach a team in the NBA. You're going to coach a team in the NBA.
Oh, I'd hold out for a better job.
Yeah.
Well, you might not get a better job than the Hornets right now.
He also didn't he interview for the Toronto Raptors job, and our other guy got it, Darko.
Yeah, thank God Darko got it, because I don't think we would have gotten that great rant from JJRedick. I don't think.
Well, you may not get much of Darko by the end of
Darko might be out of there.
Yeah, he may give him a podcast. I think people like that one.
Oh, what if they switch places? JJ goes and coaches the Raptors, and we get Darko on the podcast with LeBron. I'm in.
I would actually listen to that.
Because Darko on wine feels like the kind of guy that would let anything fly.
Agree.
And then let's keep going. Bucks lose first round. They fire Doc Rivers, and Doc replaces JJ back on ESPN after ESPN after JJ goes to the Hornets.
This is like the NHL. The firing coaches, people just taking other people's jobs.
Wait, yeah, I'm surprised. So you guys, I like the bad jobs in NBA. Like, you don't want the limbo teams. Isn't that who you want to avoid? Like the teams that are 7 and 8 every year.
I think the Hornets are particularly particularly hopeless.
Yeah,
That's
but they're starting anew. They just have a new owner. Like everything is new there, so they're going to build from ground zero. There's no mistakes in the past there, right? They're all gone.
Right, but
yeah, in theory, you have a blank slate and plenty of years to build. I just feel like the Eastern Conference is not necessarily strong at the top, but it just feels like there are a lot of teams they'd have to pass up to even
Can I
come
also
in contention.
If I hire JJRedick, right, and I'm a team that's going to take years to get back to relevancy, don't you think that if he does even an admirable job, he's leaving for the next better job immediately?
In the NBA?
Yeah.
It was hard to do that in the NBA.
Yeah.
Think so?
It's not like college where you like go from, the MEAC to the A10 to the Big East.
Like a team will never let you interview for a new job if you have a contract. They'll just say unless they want you to go.
Somehow Doc Rivers keeps getting jobs.
Well, he keeps getting fired, and some idiot owner keeps saying, "You know what? Maybe he'll work out for us."
Yeah,
so
he's a free agent when he gets these
I guess
new
so.
jobs.
You get fired, and then you get a better job.
I mean, a big thing too is the Hornets win the lottery this year too. Then we're talking. But that French kid, then that's something.
But the weird thing is too, when they wanted to spend money, no one really wanted to take their money.
Right.
I don't know what it is about Charlotte. If it was
a
just
new deal though, they have a new group.
No, I know,
there.
but Jordan, people didn't want money from Jordan. Yeah, it's strange.
They've interviewed every single person who's ever dribbled a basketball. They've had dozens and dozens of interviews.
I kind of like that though. To me, I don't know, maybe some of these are sham interviews. I want my team to look like they're, turning over every stone to find the next head coach, especially because of this situation being such a disaster and such a puzzle that nobody's been able to solve.
Right.
So it feels like it. I mean, you got to go for Dawn. If any team's ever going to go for Dawn Staley, Charlotte, South Carolina, they're pretty close.
She played for the Charlotte Sting.
Like that feels like a spot where you could really buck the trend and go with a woman coach. They interviewed another woman.
Lizzie Harding was interviewed for the job.
Yeah, I feel like this is a wide open. It's an interesting job to me because it's completely. There's nothing to lose here. You can't. What's the downside of this Charlotte job? If you stink as a Charlotte coach, no one's going to care.
I guess so. I mean, yeah. The downside, I think, for Dawn Staley would be.
Well, for her, there's a downside. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for her there would be. Now, again, I don't love that as a reason not to take a job, right? Just because there's a fear of failure, no coach is going to think that way.
And I do think there's a downside for JJRedick too, in the sense that if he goes to Charlotte and it's a disaster, which is, let's be honest, more likely than it being a great success, he's never being an NBA head coach again. To me, that would be a calculation I would think of as well, because he clearly wants to be a head coach. This is now the second cycle in a row where he's in these interviews trying to get a job, which is great for him. But if you go to Charlotte, the worst team in the NBA, and then you lose 60 games 3 years in a row and you're out, it's going to be hard to get another job.
I will disagree on what JJRedick actually wants to be.
Right.
I think he's doing it for the content. Yeah, well.
Back enough
to
of him.
Pete.
He
There
doesn't
you
talk
go.
down to us. Enough of JJRedick.
Well, who he reminds me a little bit of? Steve Kerr, who was a really good announcer and then became a GM first, I think.
Yes.
And then a coach. I feel like JJRedick should be a GM, not a coach.
Also, Hornets.
He looks like a GM.
Can we get out of the state of North Carolina? I mean, they draft every player from Duke and North Carolina.
Right.
They hire every head coach from Duke and North Carolina. The owner used to be from North Carolina. Get out of the state.
Expand your
Come on.
horizons.
Yeah, I know JJ is a legend in the state of North Carolina because we did at Duke, but really? Again? We're doing this? They drafted the guy last year, Mark Williams from Duke. He was
Brandon
really
Miller,
good,
they
but come
switched
on.
it up. He's from Alabama.
Yeah, no. It just it's not worked for them for the last 15 years just taking a bunch of Duke and North Carolina alums to run their team.
The
Maybe
Tyler
something else.
Hansborough, I don't know if Sean May ever played for them, but it feels like he would have.
He played for the Bobcats.
Of course he did. What else we got, Bogusch?
Let's do some playoff hockey. Leafs center Austin Matthews, the best player on the ice in Boston last night, with his team going for a split.
A long lead pass for Matthews. Matthews is in alone. Scores! Holy Mackinac! Big Pappy has given the Leafs the lead.
That's Joe Bowen on Leafs radio calling Matthews Big Papi in Boston. The goal was beautiful. Matthews catching a lob pass, dropped the puck, then faked the goalie out of his pads for the tie-breaking tally mid-third period. He also assisted on Toronto's other two goals in the 3-2 series tying win. The Hurricanes went from a 3-0 hold to a 5-3 win and a 2-0 lead on the Islanders. And these were game ones. The Oilers thumped the Kings 7-4. The Golden Knights winning in Dallas 4-3. Mike Trout went down looking with the bases loaded to end the Angels' 4-2 home loss to the Orioles. Anaheim has now dropped 5 in a row. The Pirates snapped their 6-game skid 4-2 over the Brewers. And the Padres got a 3-1 win at Coors Field. The Rockies now in NL Worst 5-18. And Nelly Corda has changed her plan. She will not play this week in LA, so her 5-event win streak is on hold for now. Corda is the third in LPGA history to win 5 starts in a row. No one's done 6. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, lots more to do, including we get a little insight into one team's draft room. What's going to be happening in the war room on Thursday when the NFL draft kicks off? We've got details for you next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Three, 2, 1. This is Andrew. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute. This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute. If you haven't watched the second half of the NBA season, you might wonder when the sport became closer to pro wrestling. Officials don't call anything. Even intentional fouls at the end of the game might not get a whistle, which is fine if it's consistent. But last night in the Lakers Nuggets and Sixers Knicks, officials weren't quite sure what to call, which could lead to major problems as the playoffs continue. I'm Andrew Perloff.
Minute. This is Maggie Gray with a Sports Minute. The Jets traded Zach Wilson to the Broncos on Monday. Another disappointing ending for a Jets quarterback who was touted as the next big thing.
Baby just be babies? Why can't 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 baby just be...
liking Perloff? You didn't like Tracy Chapman's fast car? Try to make things a little bit more hardcore for you.
Yeah, it's like, let's get ready to debate some sports. I'm in a fast car. Is it fast enough to get me out of here? Come on. Fast Car is not a sports radio talk show song.
Listen, it's a banger of a song.
It's not a banger. It's a sad song. Yes, it's an amazing song, but it's not a banger. I mean, we should be playing Metallica or something really hardcore, not Fast Car.
All right, we'll get that for you next break. This one is from Diana Rossini. We're talking about the NFL draft. The New England Patriots are listening and taking calls from teams looking to move into 3. And while Elliott Wolf is running point, she has been hearing that Patriots president Jonathan Kraft is heavily involved in the decision-making. And there you have it.
Yeah.
This was the moment where ownership, who's been getting stiff-armed by Bill Belichick for 2 decades, now has him out of the building. Perloff, they want their say in things. And I got to tell you, if you're a fan of one of these teams, you not only get the meddling owner, it's actually the meddling owner's son. Oh, God. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. What's a kid's name in Succession? Who's being compared to?
Exactly.
The son. Yeah, but here's
Kendall.
the thing. He's Kendall. Belichick did a terrible job the last few years, so at least it's different. If Belichick had been doing a good job and then they went to this would be a total disaster. I'm going to say it's only half a disaster because whatever they were doing before was not working. They drafted N'Keal Harry at 32.
Right.
So something was wrong in the building.
Okay, you're the owner, though. You always have the final say. No matter who is, I know they gave Belichick that grace. I think they gave him that room.
Yeah, but he earned it too.
And
But you really did not have any say.
So I think there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions who are clearly going to be in the draft room here for the Patriots. And this is a major pick for them. I mean, they've been talking about fielding calls and people getting up to 3. If I'm the Patriots, I really try not to overthink this thing. You need a quarterback. Your priority is quarterback. You have an array of quarterbacks here. No, you don't get your first choice. You don't get your second choice. But you know what? A lot of times, you can end up having the better option here. This could work out for you. This is not the worst thing in the world for you needing a QB. I would not try to get too cute here. I get the feeling that this is Elliott Wolf and this is Jonathan Kraft together who've been waiting for their moment.
Right.
And they could end up, we're going to trade back and then we're going to trade back up and then we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. I would say keep it simple with this major decision that you're making.
They're definitely taking quarterback at 3. This is all just smoke, right? There's no way they trade out.
You don't think they should?
They should. But I understand why the quarterback, if I'm looking at who's going to be rookie of the year next year, I am not betting on whoever goes to the Patriots. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be the slowest burn of anybody. Maybe Jaden Daniels because he'll run for 1 million yards, but I don't love that fit necessarily. I think they need to take Drake May and just call it a day. My fear would be they take McCarthy instead. You know why I like Drake May? It's the obvious reason, the weather. I mean, you need a big, strong guy who can cut through this crappy New England weather, and Drake May seems so obvious for that, right? Like, this seems like kind of a perfect marriage.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. But again, if you're looking for a bad weather quarterback, then J.J. McCarthy was playing in the worst weather likely of anybody in Michigan. He just wasn't throwing the ball.
But he's not as big. I mean, obviously, Josh Allen, you have the shadow of Josh Allen in Buffalo. Who's closest to Josh Allen? Drake May. I honestly, for that J.J. McCarthy's very average size. I can't see him really being. I mean, Brady was big at least. He's 6'4", 6'4.5". I just think you got to go with the big, strong guy and hope for the best. And I totally agree with you, by the way. People spend so much time and energy thinking about these picks. You just hand in the card and you might get lucky like the Texans last year. I am positive the Texans, who got C.J. Stroud at number 2, probably would have taken Bryce Young if he was there. If they had the number 1 pick, they probably wanted Bryce Young.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you there's some luck to all of this.
Yeah, without a doubt. We know that. I mean, this is something that no one's been able to perfect this.
Yes.
Like, I don't know why. We've got,
absolutely.
Like, all these different minds. You got war rooms with 50 people in it, and nobody still understands what makes a quarterback good versus not good. Unless it's an absolute no-brainer, like Joe Burrow or something. Like, you throw 60 touchdowns in college. All right, we think that guy's going to be good.
You had no idea. I mean, how did you know? Yeah, there's a lot of guys who are throwing. Kenny Pickett threw 42 touchdowns and 7 picks his final year, and he stinks. So how do you have any idea anymore? There's no standard. You see a lot of these experts, take Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback, Dan Orlovsky. I like this guy. Like you in the media, you have to take a strong stand.
Yep.
I feel like it's a blind guess at this point. They're really, if the teams can't figure it out, how are we going to figure it out?
Yeah, it's really hard. And again, I'm still think that McCarthy I think he's the guy who has a chance to slip. You know, I was reading the Adam Schefter News and Notes column yesterday where he was kind of just emptied the notebook on everything he's hearing about the draft. Actually reminded me of our friend Peter King. Like, it's something that Peter would have done, but he's obviously retired from Monday morning Football Morning in America. And one of the things he said was how Jim Harbaugh, as the Chargers coach, is still going to be the beneficiary, could be the beneficiary of J.J. McCarthy, even though McCarthy's not going to play for him next year. And what he said was that McCarthy going up to 4 or getting as high as possible means the Chargers picking at 5 would have the top pick of every non-quarterback. So whoever they love, do they love Malik Neighbors? Do they love Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do you want to take an offensive lineman like Joe Alt? Whatever you want to do, and maybe this is part of an evil genius thing here from Harbaugh, you pump up McCarthy so much, and he has. And I get it. McCarthy, they won a title together. But he's saying that J.J. McCarthy's the best quarterback Michigan's ever had, and that he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft, yada, yada. You know, this helps Jim Harbaugh because he's at the top of the draft. So even someone who would want to trade up to 5 to get McCarthy or whatever, there's a benefit here for Harbaugh.
Right. Yeah, and meanwhile, fast forward 2 days, and he's going to take the 4th rated tackle at number 5 spot.
Oh, I don't.
Well, Schefter said J.C. Latham's really in play there at number 5, who might go fall now to 10, 11, 12. I don't think, honestly, I think one of the most interesting things in the draft is if Harbaugh passes on Marvin Harrison to take a lineman.
I do not think he would do that.
But what does he care about Marvin Harrison? He wants to road grade. That's his thing. He wants a tough physical team. It'd just be a funny pick for him to take Marvin Harrison. This is exactly the kind of thing he does not like to do.
It would be starting off your tenure with the Chargers. I think the optimism could not be any higher. I mean, the Chargers, this could make them more relevant. I mean, there's so many good things about the Jim Harbaugh hire. Everyone loves he's in the RV. You know, taking an offensive lineman over Marvin Harrison, I think would deflate the room.
I don't think so. Fans know tackles win football games.
Oh, I love a tackle.
Taking a better tackle is more valuable than receiver. I'm not sure people would kill him for that.
No, I think they would. 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in. Coming up, man, this is going to be a tough one for the Lakers to get over. How are they going to rebound after blowing a 20-point lead last night?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Jamal Murray's got it. 5 seconds left. Murray dribbles right. 3, 2, Murray for the win. Good. Nuggets win it.
Yep, that was the Lakers' call, and that was their side of things. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It was devastating. No other way to put it. The Lakers had a 20-point lead in Game 2, the first round of their series against the Nuggets, Perloff, and then the fourth quarter happened. And besides LeBron playing well in the fourth quarter, nothing went their way. Jamal Murray started hitting shots. Jokic, of course, became his old self. And for some reason, Anthony Davis was just a non-factor in the fourth quarter after he had been killing it in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly ran out of steam. What's the mystery here? And you knew it was going to happen.
But LeBron didn't run out of steam.
That's
the thing.
Yeah, but
he was hitting
LeBron,
threes. He was dunking.
He missed a 3 at the end. But I would say that, yes, he was there, but it wasn't a full 45 minutes of LeBron dominance. He definitely was feeling it a little bit. Remember when he checked himself out of the first half and went to the bench? I was like, is he about to take a nap? What's going on here?
Oh, stop.
No, I do think first of all, they're an older team.
Yep.
I think they're in Denver with the altitude. It's not even just the altitude. I just think that to get that lead, they spent a lot of energy.
Well, they did, but also the Nuggets would have to spend a lot of energy overcoming that deficit.
But the Nuggets, once they get rolling, they're not spending energy. Once you get the Nuggets on a roll and they're playing the offense they want to, it feels like it's easy for them.
It did start to look a lot easier, I guess. And, it was Anthony Davis, LeBron, D'Angelo Russell rebounds from a bad Game 1, hit a lot of shots in Game 2, but you didn't really get much from the other role players, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves. These guys were not really contributing a whole lot, and you blow this game. And I know this has been a very familiar feeling for the Laker fan because you've lost 10 in a row to the Nuggets. However, this one had to feel different. You had to think, okay, maybe we figured it out. Maybe we pierced the armor. Hey, can we hear this cut, please, from Darvin Ham? So this is cut 13. This is Darvin Ham before the game. Now, I heard this, and I thought, is he just trying to be cute here? Because why would a coach say this before you're about to play an opponent?
Just got to put constant pressure on him, and that doesn't seem to bother him either. Taller than everybody, wingspan, skill set. It's like, I don't know what to do. You just got to go out there and try to be as disciplined as possible, aggressive and consistent, and have a next play mentality, man.
It was interesting. So that's Darvin Ham, the coach of the Lakers, talking about how to stop Nikola Jokic. Heck if I know, like, good luck, everybody. Like, you're the head coach. But meanwhile, I was like, oh, this was a rope-a-dope. He was just being kind of...
Yeah, what did you expect? He was going to be like, here's my exact plan. I'm going to put Rui here on this. Like, what's he going to give the real plan? What would you expect him to answer?
No, but, I wasn't sure if maybe he was just being frustrated. But I'm like, oh, then I saw what happened in the first 3 quarters, or I guess first 2.5 quarters of the game, really. And I'm like, they really are. Jokic is not playing well here. They may have figured something out. And then all of a sudden, Jokic got in his bag, and Murray started hitting shots, and it was over.
Well, it's not rocket science. Basically, Jokic dominated Rui, so they put Davis on at the end of the game, and he had success, and then that carried over into this game. But it wore Davis down. I mean, Davis overall did have a great night, but I feel like just running after... Jokic has so much more help than Davis, too, because if Jokic has a down moment, then all of a sudden Gordon just comes out of nowhere and hits a big shot. There's just so many other guys. The Lakers are so dependent on the big two. That's the big. If you're going to look at this team, what's the big flaw? Is it's really got to be Davis and LeBron. I know Russell had a good game last night, but it's got to be those big two where the Nuggets just have so many ways to beat you. That's why I don't feel like the Lakers really blew it. I think they were beat by a better team.
Man, I'd love to know how the Laker fans are feeling. 855-212-4227. I know how you're feeling. You're feeling sick to your stomach.
Oh, it sucks.
It's the worst because I don't know about you, and I've had a lot of experience with this, so I feel like I'm coming from a place here of knowledge and a place I've been. I'd rather lose by 30. I'd rather lose by 30 than lose that way. I'd rather get blown out wire to wire and have no shot in the game at all than what happened last night. You're up 20. Then the tide starts to turn, and then you end up losing on a buzzer beater where that player couldn't hit the ocean from the beach until the 4th quarter.
Well,
I'd rather just get blown out.
Yeah, but you're saying he couldn't hit the ocean for the beach. This is Jamal Murray you're talking about. It's not like you got beat by some scrub.
No, but of course
he was
not.
Amazing in the 4th quarter.
He had 14 points in the 4th quarter. He came alive. But before that, he was awful. I mean, in shooting the ball, he was just terrible. That's fine. You can call it what it is. But he ends up being awesome in that 4th quarter. But I'm curious what you guys would think. If I'm a Laker fan today, I wish I'd gotten blown up by 30. Don't even give me the hope. Let me regroup for game 3 because now, I don't know. I know they're professional athletes. You got to compartmentalize. But how are you not completely demoralized? EJ talked before about the mental block that the Lakers could have against the Nuggets. I mean, this is just more fuel for that fire.
Well, you have to admit, though, which is a more brutal loss? The Sixers blowing a 5-point lead in 40 seconds or what happened to the Lakers? If you want to see, if that happened to the Lakers, then that would be a terrible, terrible thing. But the game was basically tied with 2 minutes left. Like, it was anybody's game. The Sixers, that's an all-time deflating loss. This is way different.
I was trying to spare you a little bit. That was a terrible loss by the 76ers also, but I think you would say, how is Embiid even playing? He even played well offensively, and then the 4th quarter you could see it, and he was hobbling, quite a bit. The Lakers don't have a big injury.
No. I mean, right, the Lakers have real expectations. Like, they could do something this year. So that is deflating. But it's not. It was 93-92 with 2:12 left in the game. Honestly, at that point, I bet you the odds were minus 200 to the Nuggets. The Nuggets had the home court. They had a hot Murray. They had Jokic. I think the Lakers did not necessarily blow it at the end.
I think when we think about this Lakers season, if we're talking about the series being over, which sounds like both of you guys feel like it is.
Yes.
The series was over in the first half of the regular season because if the Lakers take the regular season more seriously than they did. Like, they took the in-season tournament where they played awesome, and it seemed like the in-season tournament happened, and they just took 2 months off.
It took a lot out of them.
Yeah, and that's true. But if they play this regular season in a way where they're not in the play-in, they're not fighting for their lives, and they have to face Denver in the first round. I know we talk about, you don't want to duck smoke. They shouldn't be playing this kind of team. Like, the Lakers are clearly a top 5 or 4 Western Conference team, and they're playing against an absolute juggernaut because of how they approach the regular season.
Yeah, but EJ, what's the difference? At the end of the day, here's, I think, if they lose to the Nuggets in the first round or the third round of the playoffs, is it really that big a difference?
I think it's a difference, though, because if the Nuggets have to face 2 other teams, and maybe someone gets hurt, maybe someone sprains an ankle.
They're beating the Lakers the same way. Because they always beat the Lakers. It doesn't matter if it's a Western Conference Finals or the first round. There was no cheat code for the Lakers to beat the Nuggets.
I agree with EJ on this one that I'm not ever rooting for an injury, ever. But the more games you put on Jamal Murray and Jokic, and especially Murray, just because we've seen him injured before, we've seen Michael Porter have a back issue, the more games you play, the more likely guys are to get run down. You're catching the Nuggets, and they're pretty fresh.
I don't know. I feel like just look at the last 10 games. You're saying there's a scenario where the Lakers beat the Nuggets. I just don't see it.
I thought last night they were going to beat them. And then you get one win and maybe just pierce the armor just a little bit. Maybe there's a seed of doubt. Maybe there's a way. And
where are you going to get the energy to pull off 4 wins?
Well, it's not like you're playing back-to-back games here. So the schedule really does help you out here.
You need strong wire-to-wire games from Davis and LeBron, and I just do not see that happening.
Let's hit the phones, 855-212-4227. Ramon in Indianapolis, you're on Maggie and Perloff. Good morning, Ramon.
Good morning, my great people in the morning. You guys got a hot one going this morning. I watched that, and it just frustrated me down the stretch because I thought they did everything they were supposed to do. The one play I know the people. I love LeBron. He's a great player. But when Caldwell Pope fell down and he took the dagger 3, which led to Jamal hitting the game-winning shot, I thought he should have drove to the basket then and just got the layup. And I thought that was a bad decision. Probably nobody recognized that. Probably nobody's going to say anything. But when he got Caldwell Pope to fall, he had a lane to drive right there. Instead, he took the dagger 3, and then when Murray comes down and hit the shot, I thought that was a poor decision. He should have went to the bucket. You should go to the bucket. Murray shot mid-range shots down the stretch, and that was it. He hit the high percentage shot. And sometime in the NBA, guys keep forgetting that. The Lakers should have lost that game against the Pelicans and took their chance with Oklahoma City. I know people don't want to hear that.
Oh.
About competition.
Ramon, I brought it up this morning. I brought it up this morning with Perloff. And Ramon, thank you. So a couple things there. One, Ramon's talking about the penultimate possession, if you will, the second to last possession, where LeBron gets the ball top of the key and KCP falls. LeBron's wide open.
Right.
I mean,
kind of rims out.
Yeah, but
that's
he
what
was
happens.
as open as you could be.
You can't kill with LeBron or anybody. Sometimes those threes rim out. By the way, I'm going back a little bit.
Yeah.
Why do we think the Lakers are going to stay more healthy than the Nuggets in this scenario where they get them in the conference finals? Which team is more likely to have injuries?
That's a fair
Clearly,
point.
The Lakers are the one.
Anthony Davis could get hurt at any time. I understand it.
This is the best shot the Lakers probably had at the Nuggets. That being said, we haven't talked. Remember the Cavs fans were mad because they dumped the end of the season? That's working out so far.
Oh, yeah, they won last night against the Magic.
I mean, they get the Magic, so they get basically a bye to the second round. So that's worked out. But then they face the Celtics. So it doesn't matter. You're going to lose in the playoffs anyway. I don't care if you make the conference finals.
So what Ramon is referring to, what Perloff is referring to, is that when the Lakers were in the play-in game, they faced the Pelicans. This was the 7-8 matchup. And, 7-8 and then 9-10. So they could have lost that game to the Pelicans, and then they would have played the winner of Kings Warriors, and then they would have been the 8 seed. They'd be facing OKC. It was thought, hey, do you sit some players? Do you manipulate the outcome? Now, if Zion Williamson doesn't get hurt in that game with, 5 minutes left to go that he left that game?
Yeah.
Maybe the Pelicans win that anyway. That was a heck of a game, and Zion was playing out of his mind.
Yeah, it's so depressing. That being said, do we know for sure that the Lakers win the next
beat
game?
The Kings.
That's the
Again,
problem.
You can't. That's why you can't play God and basketball God with these kinds of things, because there's definitely a ball don't lie aspect where
it's just funny
you take
that
a play-in game, what you get, whatever fate it's served your way.
You guys kill me when I say stuff like this. You guys are like, well, maybe if you play the Nuggets later on, there'd be some injuries. Injuries is not a plan. You've told me that many times.
I do say that.
That's not a plan.
Not a strategy.
That's not a plan to hope that Jokic twist his ankle. That's not a strategic plan.
Well, you got anything else? Because Darvin Ham certainly
I'm with
doesn't.
Darvin Ham.
He sure as heck doesn't. Adrian's in Maryland. You're on Maggie and Perloff. Hey, Adrian.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, one thing people aren't talking. Denver's played probably the worst 2 games of, I wouldn't say the season, but in this series, and they've still won.
Yep.
So that's very concerning for the LA Lakers. Other question I had, one of my friends texted me, and he said, which is more gut-wrenching, the Sixers game of losing how the Sixers lost or the Lakers? I said the Sixers because they're up 5, 30 seconds to go, 20, and there's a half to play. You know, in the NBA, everybody makes their run, so you had too much time. So I think it's the Sixers. What do you guys think? I'll listen to you guys on the radio. Thanks
Adrian,
again.
great to talk with you. Thank you. Great questions. Put it on
It's
the
not
poll.
a great question. It's so obviously, I'm sorry, Adrian, because that's a great point. But it's so obviously the Sixers is way more gut-wrenching. It's as gut-wrenching as possible. People are calling it the revenge for the Reggie Miller game. You can't possibly have a more gut-wrenching loss.
I am people, by the way.
What's that?
Is it me? I am people,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah,
saying
yeah.
it's
Like, that
Reggie
was an
Miller redemption.
incredible, that's an all-time playoff comeback that the Sixers were a victim to. And I'm so glad the Lakers blew their game so we didn't have to focus on this painful memory from last night.
Okay, but see, this is where I think it's actually the Lakers, is because we just talked about it. I don't know how Joel Embiid is still out there with this knee that's in, it's out, it's good, it's bad. At least your star player is definitely hurt. So everything runs through Embiid. Like, I was listening to an interview that the Sixers general manager, Daryl Morey, was doing with our former boss, Spike Eskin, on his podcast, The Rights to Ricky Sanchez. And Daryl was talking about how he just didn't build a team that was really good if Embiid's not on the floor. Like, everything just runs through him. And so when he's hobbled or he's diminished or not there, he was there last night, but diminished, this is not a great team. So I don't know.
I agree. I mean,
I think the Lakers, they still have Davis, they have LeBron, healthy.
Well, I think the discussion really should be, if you're Joel Embiid, do you want to stay in Philadelphia? Because if you're paying Tobias Harris one of the worst contracts in the NBA. You have Maxey as a second star, but this is a bad team.
Maxey's good. Maxey's good.
Maxey's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, last night was incredible. 2 good games in a row.
Honestly,
where he's been on
Hartenstein
fire.
got maybe one tiny fingernail on that driving layup at the end.
Well, I just said Maxey had sort of a flu game too. Is pretty incredible, but the rest of the team stinks. Kelly Oubre, you cannot trust that guy at all.
I'll tell you what, I did not expect Nick Batum to be playing these kind of minutes.
I know the Sixers are not a good team. Which I actually watched that game. I was positive the Sixers were going to lose by 10. I don't even know how they kept that close. That was there. You're right. They should have stolen that game. But big picture, you know that they have a limited window because Embiid is hurt. I don't know where that franchise is going. The Lakers is more heartbreaking because I honestly believe they could win the title. They're good enough. If Denver didn't exist, I don't think there's anybody who is a huge favorite over the Lakers. Maybe they're not the favorite to win it all, but they could beat any. Is there a team that you point to other than Denver? You say you're sure they could beat the Lakers?
Maybe the Celtics, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Probably the Celtics. Yes.
The one thing on the Sixers in terms of gut wrenching, I will say this: if you told Sixers fans before this series started that Jalen Brunson is going to shoot 8 for 26 and an 8 for 29, I bet almost every Sixers fan says we're up 2-0.
Yep.
So the fact that you're going home 0-2 with Joel and Embiid playing with one leg, that's got to feel more gut-wrenching. Because at the end of the day, like, you feel like you did enough to take away the head of the stake for the Knicks, and somehow you still lost.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you exactly why. Because you're leaving all these role players open from 3, and they're hitting all their threes. I mean, are the Knicks really going to get all those McBride and DiVincenzo and Josh Hart? Josh Hart has never shot like this in his life.
So I was thinking about this. Is there any chance, and this is a little bit of a deep cut here, but the fact that the 3 very important players for the Knicks all played their college ball in Philadelphia. Now, they didn't play where the Sixers play.
No, they did.
They're always down there.
Right.
Yeah, they did during their era.
They've been a lot. They've been in Wells Fargo a lot, but that's not their home court, is it?
No, they play at the Pavilion up in Villanova. But when
any big game happens,
when Dante and Josh and those guys were down there, they were a top team. They played a lot of games at Wells Fargo.
Right. So usually role players don't play as well on the road, and I know the Sixers fans are going to be in a frenzy. But the fact that you have Brunson and Hart and DiVincenzo, that was their basically a home away from home for 3 years.
I mean, the Knicks swept them in the home two games in the regular season in Philly. So maybe something I've thought about. As a Knicks fan, you're thinking of every reason to try to figure out how your team's going to win. So trust me, I've gone through the mental gymnastics of like, well, these guys have played big games at Wells Fargo before. Maybe that'll help.
Well, the biggest issue with the officials, I mean, forget the players. With the officials, last night, obviously, the officials kind of, I think one of them was going, go New York, go at one point. Like the officials,
weird for him to be chanting that.
I just think like that, I mean, that scientifically is the reason that home teams have such a big advantage because the officials are influenced. And that's what I wonder, like, if it's another close game, will the Sixers get the call? Possibly.
Here was Embiid talking about the refereeing last night.
Unacceptable. I mean, Tyrese got fouled, a couple times. We just had the same thing happen against Miami with Tyler Hero. That's just unacceptable to, put us in that situation. That's unacceptable to lose a game like this, especially in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I thought there was a call that definitely went the 76ers way, which was a DiVincenzo rebound that get knocked out by Kyle Lowry. By the way, Lowry had help to the bench by two people at the end of the game. We never got an update on it. Is he okay? Is he dead?
I feel like there have been a lot of plays where guys are getting like seriously hurt and nobody's even updating or caring that they got hurt.
They dragged him off like he was wounded on a battlefield. Like that's how they RB dragged him off or whatever.
But I'm not sure I can remember anyone playing as injured as Embiid is now at any level. Like Willis Reed limped out and played the beginning part of the game. Then did he play the rest of the game? I feel like
no, he hit a couple shots and then left. And then it's really the Clyde Frazier game, but no one remembers it.
This is very bizarre that the Sixers are more worried about Embiid. It feels like I don't get what's going on because he's so obviously limping. Like you got to pull him. What about his long-term health? What are they doing here?
Well, you got the whole offseason. Don't worry about that.
I know. It's just it feels like he's got a major knee injury that he keeps on re-tearing every quarter.
I guess maybe this could be a great debate one week. The best injured performances. Like I don't know if Michael Jordan's flu game really counts there, but you got the Kirk Gibson. You've got
that was
definitely T.O.
But Gibson had one at bat.
T.O. in the Super Bowl played almost on a broken leg, right?
Yeah, but he was at least he could run around. Would he have 100?
No, he was
yards.
Excellent in the game, but he was questionable.
I mean, the ultimate is Byron Leftwich getting carried down carried down the line and actually keep on playing.
I was thinking about Kellen Winslow at the old Orange Bowl. Yeah,
That was does that count with dehydration?
I mean, he was cramping. I mean, he had to carry out the field after catch for 100 and a million yards, whatever he did.
How about Heat Spurs? Remember, LeBron's cramping.
That's true.
And there's a lot of conspiracies about what happened in San Antonio.
You don't get into this conversation with cramps. There is no way.
What about the flu for Jordan's game? I don't think that counts
either.
That's different
too. I feel like we're talking about Embiid, like really on an injured knee, going out there and gutting it out. The guy was.
Oh, you know who it is? It's Isaiah on the sprained ankle.
Oh yeah,
that
Game 6.
Oh, when he went off in the fourth quarter,
and he's literally can't walk.
Probably faking it though, knowing Isaiah.
There you go. 855-212-4227. Took a little left turn there. But you are welcome to weigh in. Poll question today. We got a couple for you. One, did the Lakers choke that game away or did the Nuggets win it? Right now, the choking is winning over the Nuggets coming back to win the game. Also, more devastating loss from last night. Was it the 76ers or was it the Lakers? You can go to @Maggie and Pearl and you can be the judge. Coming up, we've got more for you. News on the NFL draft. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. I see what's going on here. I'm going to let you behind the scenes little production meeting. Maggie's obsessed with the fact that I was home alone the last 2 days. What she doesn't realize is my kids are 12 and 13, and I actually have a life of my own. You have a 4-year-old son. You are treating it like I won the Super Bowl combined with the lottery, that I get 30 hours to myself. You know, when the kids get older, you actually get your life back. I feel like the jealousy has been overwhelming of the fact that I could just sit and watch TV and eat crackers. And this is not, to me, it's nice, but to you, it seems like the holy grail of all things.
I mean, you get this time, your house all to yourself. We were talking about what things do you do when your family's out of town. For some reason, I eat like everything in our fridge. And I don't know why, because my husband and my kid would not care if I ate their snacks in front of them. But it's something about them not being there. It's like there's no guardrails. Like, I'm just going to eat all your cheddar rockets.
We have more free time. But I got to tell you, right now where you are with a very, very small child, like alone time it's everything. Like a work trip, it's amazing.
Also, there's a mom guilt factor that kicks in, but sure.
It loses a little luster as your kids get older. Like, this has been fun. I've had the house to myself the last 3 days. It's been fun, but it's not quite the same.
Bogusch, you want to co-sign on that?
You know
You're
what I'm
also
saying?
home alone these couple days.
Yeah, well, I'm single and a half parenting. There's different grandmothers trading in and out of spots in my house right now. But I haven't had a true, 36-hour, 48-hour window by myself in a while. And I need it. My kids are almost 13 and 10, so they're kind of Perloff's age, but
13 and 12 for me.
They're still, we have baseball or softball or this and that. I could use a tiny little break.
That is
Is there
nice.
anything better though than being home by yourself?
I just feel like, I had that my whole life. I had that for 30 years.
I don't know. I think there's something nice. They call it staycation or something where you've got no kids to cart around. You can just do whatever you want to do, but you're also in your own house. You can get stuff done. You can just chill. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Wait.
Thank you.
If
You make me
you're
sound
not-
like I'm the weird one.
EJ, you're not married yet. Do you relate to this as much?
I mean, I'm not married, but might as well be with this long-term relationship. And I mean, I love it when Andrea's away. Like, I love having her, of course. She treated me to an amazing birthday weekend. But, I mean, socks everywhere, food everywhere. Don't have to worry about that when she's around.
She's around. Messy.
Yeah, everything gets super messy. And
Yeah.
it's always usually an over-under how many, socks are just all over the floor by the time she comes back from a 2-day vacation or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have your wife or girlfriend looking at you side-eye. By the way, you say you might as well be. Not the same.
When you guys were
know.
25,
I know.
Did you remember 25? You're like, oh yes, I'm alone. This is awesome. Like, it only became awesome once you got into a family.
I know, but that's what we're talking about. Although I do remember when I first got my first apartment.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, when I was single or not married, I probably would have signed up first for a weekend at my house doing nothing, as opposed to going somewhere.
So you guys are all serious introverts. I'm getting that sense.
No,
despite what we do for a living. Yes.
I like having nothing to do. I really like. I like to be like, am I gonna get to bed now? No, I'm gonna start a movie. Or am I gonna play a video game now? Sure. Or am I gonna go get pizza for lunch? I like having nothing to do.
Let me ask you a question though. You're not close. Aren't you terrified of when the kids leave the house that you're gonna have nothing to do?
Well, I saw a thing the other day that was when your kids are 12, you've already spent 80% of your time with them, and then it's even less and I'm like, so that freaked me out. My daughter's about to be 13.
I saw Jerry Seinfeld say the other day, once your kids start at 13, you're no longer a parent. We're done.
That seems not true.
And it's a little bit
Well, he
depressing.
also said living with a teenager is like living with an alligator, but sure. He puts things in a unique way.
Jerry seems to have a difficult family life with his teenagers. But I got to be honest, I get it because my 13-year-old is she's awesome. She's lovely. But
she's independent.
Yeah, I could disappear for 4 months and she might not even notice I'm gone.
Well, the TikTok has really taken your spot.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The kids grow up and it's so easy. Maggie, I could go to a movie any night I want.
Movie on a school night? Get out of
Easily,
here.
Tuesday
I've
night.
been to a movie since 2017.
I mean, fortunately, there are no movies to see, so you're not missing anything. But I could do anything. I could go to dinner. We don't need a babysitter. I know
that's crazy.
Yeah. I think you're a
what
little bit.
What is this freewheeling life style that you live?
Yeah. I came to the office on Monday morning and I said, Matt, Sarah's still up in Boston with the kids. You looked at me like, wow, you hit the lottery. I can't believe it. You are the luckiest man alive. I'm
By
like,
the way,
what is going on
my
at home?
family who's listening, I love being with you guys all the time, but
all
a day
the
or
time.
two.
Didn't your husband just go away?
Never.
He just went away, yeah.
Right, he just had. So where's your trip?
I've taken way more. How about me doing the whole Super Bowl? And
Yeah,
he
I guess that did happen.
And he's way cool about me going on girls' trips and stuff.
What's this mom guilt thing? Do you have some of that?
Oh my gosh, you guys don't even know. You don't even know. The moment you leave the house, the kid's like, "Mommy." Ugh. It's like someone just drove a stake right through your heart. But I digress.
But who cares about dad pain is pretty real too. And you've been gone? Yeah, I have.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Yeah, it's been 72 hours. Glad you missed me.
Well,
bye, Daddy. See you later.
I think that's why they probably have the missing person. You can't file one of those for 24 hours or whatever. Because it could just be dad was just gone and nobody knew.
That's where you need the pets to come in. Because at least for me, I come home and Lita is she's so excited. When I was on Super Bowl week, I was off for a week. I've never seen her more excited. I can't imagine.
Pets are a responsibility. You got to take them out if you're a dog.
Yeah, but getting that love back, again, you're not going to get it from your kids, but you will get it from your dog, which I think is a good substitute.
Totally.
You get it to your kids up until a certain point. Then they're too cool. But my kids still is excited.
Moms always get it.
You got to be strategic. I've been investing in the little one, sort of getting her attention. So the older one could care less if I leave, but the younger one notices. I put in hard work, like strategic.
You've been creating a codependent relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely. I highly recommend that as a move, by the way. You got to start to
break one of your kids.
Yeah, no, basically, like I'll read the book she's reading so I have something to talk to her about. Like I'm holding on for dear life to gain some interest in me.
That's why you went to Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah.
You're wouldn't recommend it. I'm like, I was never going to see it.
You got to approach it with a game plan. If you got 2 kids, just keep one in the fold. You're not going to get both. That's unrealistic. But Maggie, no, you're going to be here someday. You're going to be to the point where your kid doesn't need you and you're going to be so lonely and sad and wish that the kid needed you again.
Wow, that just got really dark.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like it's not as great as you think.
I did have a moment yesterday. We were jumping on the trampoline together outside, and my kid's the only child, so I'm really, my husband and I are like his best friends, and we were jumping together, and I was like, just remember this moment, Don't forget what this is like when he wants to hang with you.
A friend of mine once had a good expression. Cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy, and I don't know the rest of the words. When you coming home, Dad, I don't know.
Is that Cat Stevens right there?
I think it's Jim Croce.
It was a Jim Croce.
We'll get together
What's the
soon,
difference?
Maggie. We'll get together soon.
It's so funny he wrote that in 1968, but to make those lyrics so personal. Really a lot of foresight there.
Yeah, when you were on that trampoline, did it dawn on you that he's going to be 16 soon, driving, and you'll never see him again?
Let's get to the headlines.
We'll
Bogusch.
get together soon, Maggie. We'll get together soon.
Or can I suggest Maggie hot takes from the trampoline instead of the treadmill?
Yeah, I can't hold.
Try it.
I'll try it. I'll try it today.
If only NBA games were 47 minutes long, the Sixers had a 5-point lead, the finish line on a 1-1 series in sight, and then all of this happens.
8 on the 24. DiVincenzo, corner to Brunson. Sidestep, three-pointer. Shot. It's good! Took the bounce and went in. 2-point game. Ball knocked loose. And Maxey gets knocked down. Hart takes it away. Out top to DiVincenzo. His shot won't go. Hartenstein the rebound. Hartenstein gets it out to Anunoby. DiVincenzo a 3. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13 seconds remaining.
First, they were storming the streets of Manhattan and burning Joel Embiid jerseys. Now Mike Breen's dropping double bangs in Game 2 of Round 1. The Knicks are out of control after scoring 8 points in the final 28 seconds to somehow win 104-101 for a 2-0 lead on the Sixers.
Wait, can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Please.
It was Harry Chapin who sang Cats in the Cradle, not Jim Croce, so we were both equally wrong.
I should know that. I've actually interviewed members of Harry Chapin's family multiple times for the WFAN Hungerthon.
What?
So, bad job out of me.
That's
basically a member of the family, and I didn't realize it.
Unexpected name drop there.
Yeah,
I interviewed Harry Chapin's nephew.
His brother, actually.
Wow, there you go.
And other assorted members of the family.
I hope
Back to you, Bogusch.
Yeah. There are questions. A different heartbreak for the Lakers. A 20-point third-quarter lead disappeared. Then Jamal Murray hit a fadeaway over Anthony Davis at the buzzer for a 101-99 win in their own 2-0 lead. And the Cavs beat the Magic 96-86 for a 2-0 lead as well. The home team remains unbeaten after 3 days of NBA playoff action. Even LeBron and JJRedick could tell you on their Hoops podcast that you can't lose a hockey playoff game when leading by 3 more than halfway through said game. But that's exactly what the Islanders did last night, allowing 4 goals in the final 9+ minutes of their game in Carolina. The last 3 goals came with 2:15, 2:06, and 56 seconds to go. WTF, Patrick Waugh.
It's a tough loss, no doubt about it, because we had a chance to win that game. But at the same time, we got to regroup and be ready for the next game. I mean, we're going at home, and we need to play well in our building and win game number 3. That's all.
Yeah, Patrick, that includes the whole game. That includes every minute of the third period you have to be ready for as well. Your team was not prepared for that, and that's why Bogusch is doing the Islanders every update now.
I've noticed that.
Today.
Honestly, I wasn't, he was suggesting it for us to do whole segments on it.
Ridiculous.
I mean, a historic collapse. Historic.
Just wait when the Rangers play real teams in the playoffs and see what happens.
Well, sorry, Pete. I'm so glad to share the pain after the Sixers lost last night. I'm relieved that the Islanders lost too. I'm so sorry. But
Perloff's such a misery loves company.
Oh yeah, the
person.
Lakers lost. Thank God.
By the way, we have some more people weighing in on what it's like to be alone. Perloff is alone. Bogusch is sort of alone right now. The family's out of the house. Michael in the chat says, living alone is leaving the house and knowing that the chocolate ganache cake and the leftover pepperoni and mushroom lasagna will still be there when you return. Gigi says, I live alone for the first time in my life after I got divorced, and I don't think I can go back. Well, okay.
That's definitely a choice.
Yeah.
There you go.
See that coming. Okay.
The Islanders losing 5-3, by the way. The Leafs got a split in Boston 3-2. Connor McDavid had 5 assists in the Oilers' 7-4 rout of the Kings in their game 1. And Vegas took its opener in Dallas 4-3. The Buffalo Sabres are bringing back former head coach Lindy Ruff for that same job. He was in charge from 97 through 13, a span that included a Stanley Cup final appearance and the franchise's last postseason appearance. That was 2011. The team swears this is not about nostalgia. It's just hockey. The Devils just fired Ruff 61 games into his 4th season on the job.
They were last in the playoffs in 2011.
Yeah.
My God.
And there were rumors that the team's for sale. It's like, I don't know if anyone's helping them.
Take them.
Can't imagine the valuations that high right now.
The Kansas City Chiefs have given Andy Reid, GM Brett Veach, and President Mark Donovan extensions. The Jets and Broncos have reportedly agreed to a trade that'll land Zach Wilson in Denver, the team splitting his $5.5 million salary. And then there's Thursday's NFL draft. It's Mel Kiper season. His former ESPN colleague, Todd McShay, told Pardon My Take recently that Kiper does all his mock drafting without a cell phone.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different numbers for Mel. And if I want to text, I was just texting the other, if I want to get through to Mel, look at all these texts. Right?
What are they?
It's to Kim. It's to Kim.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's to his wife.
And Kim writes back, hey, Todd, how are you? Yeah, I'll ask him. I'm sure he'll get back to you today. I'm like, all right, great.
5 landlines. It's as old school as you think.
And the problem is you call the house and Kim will pick up and like, hey, and I'll talk to Kim for like 10 minutes before I even get to Mel. And then Mel will pick up from a different landline, right? It's not like a cell phone at home. It's like back in like the 80s where it's like you hear another phone. Hey, Todd, how are you? What's going on? You know?
Yeah.
It's definitely a throwback.
So NFL GMs and agents are playing this game as well, texting Kim Kiper to get Mel's attention.
Yeah.
Also, it could be like a game of telephone there. What if she, you think it's Jimmy Clausen, but she's really talking about something else?
Any mock draft that Mel's gotten wrong, we can now blame it on Kim.
Yeah, blame it on Kim. It's like, I thought that he said Phillip Rivers, not Jimmy Clausen. I don't even remember what the same draft year, but whatever.
I like Todd's impersonation. Hey, Todd, how you doing? You know that Mel answers the phone exactly like that. Hey, Todd. And everyone is supposed to be the nicest guy on planet Earth. What's the thing he eats every day, too? It's a pumpkin pie, a slice of pumpkin pie with every meal with a piece of cheese on it.
Something.
I think that this makes Mel a better draft analyst. The fact that he don't got a cell phone. Like, I heard this. I was like, you know what? He's not distracted.
You can sell the computer, though.
Yeah, but I mean, computer's more work. You got to sit there and commit to being on the computer. Like the fact that he doesn't have a cell phone, he's just pounding tape left and right, watching these guys. The fact that he's not getting distracted. I heard that's like, you know what? Mel knows what he's doing. I think that there's a reason why he's one of the GOATs. I think this is part of it.
I had the exact opposite reaction.
Wow, really?
Obviously, he does a good job. He's Mel Kiper. But if it's 2024, if you don't have a cell phone, or apparently you're Nick Saban and have never written an email, you're doing it on purpose. Like, you're not doing it because you're just doing it to do it. And I can't, for some reason, this bothers me. Get a cell phone.
Well,
get a cell phone.
I just find it really interesting that we talk about Kim, his wife, how any married man can get out of having a cell phone in this day and age. Congrats, because you're Houdini. There is no wife in America who I think would be like, no, let me not know where you are for hours on end.
You think Mel Kiper is a cheating risk?
No, it's not about cheating. It's not about the cheating.
There's one American I would think is least likely to cheat on his wife.
No, it's not about the cheating part. It's just that I might need you.
Yeah,
Pick up something at the grocery store. Hey, the kids are doing this. Like, I just need to be in constant, not that I'm always asking my husband to do stuff. I'm just saying I need to be in communication.
So I don't understand. How did people maintain marriages and families for the, 3,000 years before cell phones?
We used to pray for you to not be sick anymore. Now we have medicine. It's okay to progress to a cell phone in your pocket. So
my mom and dad didn't have cell phones, and it was fine. Like, there was never any big deal.
I mean, I'll say this. Mel Kiper maybe could be a better family man if he had a cell phone. I think he's a better draft analyst for not having a cell phone.
You can't find him to tell him who you're picking.
No, because he's locked in on the scouting department. Like, when he's getting these guys right, I expect him to get them right now. Because it's like, look, he ain't on his cell phone just screwing around. This guy he doesn't have that time to waste.
Okay, another thing that they're not factoring in. You have 5 landlines, right? Or what do you say?
Yeah, 5. At work, like an old school work guy.
Yeah, right. Like bing, bing, like your phone bank.
Yeah.
You are getting so many spam calls.
Maybe.
I know you get them on your cell phone too, but you can block them, you can report them. You're just getting Sienna polls, and you're getting all that crap
car
to
insurance,
5 different
offers.
landlines. What a waste of time. It's not efficient.
And can you just give Kim a break?
Well, here's the issue.
Give Kim Kiper a break.
Mel Kiper, I mean, who knows who's sliding into those DMs if he has a phone? Like, he's got
hair?
ladies coming left and right with that.
I thought you said he's not a cheating risk.
Jaden Daniels?
He's totally not. The dude, he eats a single...
Is he Sam Hartman of the draft?
This is another big shake. Mel Kiper eats a single pumpkin pie every day, but does not eat the crust because there's hydrogenated oil in the crust.
Yeah, fair.
He's
The crust is where the calories
He's a psycho. What are we even talking about? He's the weirdest guy ever. Like, there's any logic to any of this?
No, he and my mom have the same kind of idea.
Your mom eats a pumpkin pie every day?
No, just without the crust.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that the man eats a single pumpkin pie every day, that doesn't strike you as odd?
It's odd because pumpkin pie is garbage.
Oh, EJ.
It's odd because he eats the same thing. He eats a single pumpkin pie 365 days a year, and you guys are worried that he doesn't have a cell phone? I feel like this is...
Forest through the trees, you're telling us?
Get a better pie selection. Apple, sweet potato. There's ways you can go. Pecan, pecan, whatever you want to call them.
I disagree. I love a pumpkin pie. Plus,
Yeah,
I
pumpkin
can
pie
eat
is awesome.
I could eat the same thing every day of the year.
Yeah, but you don't. You don't eat a pumpkin pie every day.
And you have a cell phone because you're a human.
The two are very connected.
Or disconnected because he doesn't have a phone.
Hi, Todd. What's going on? And meanwhile, you hear like from the other. Yeah, this is awesome.
Just finishing up some pie, Kim. I'll be on in a second.
I'd love to know how many things did get lost in translation between his wife and him. It's impossible they're batting 1,000. Even if you yourself are reading the text, sometimes things get lost in translation, let alone someone else is feeding you the info.
Yeah.
Anywho, see you guys on the phones. Bogusch, thank you. We've got lots to do, including parsing through some draft what-ifs. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Lots of things going on today, including a conversation about Perloff being home alone. Wife and kids are out of the house. Bill is in California. Has a thing to say about this. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Good. I just want to ask Perloff, Maggie, because I think he's driving you down the wrong road about telling you when the kids get older, it gets easier or whatever. And I don't know how he's lucky enough to have any alone time. Now, I'll give you an example. I have 6 kids, and my 11th grandchild is in the making.
Wow,
But-
congratulations.
Well, dude, I mean, come on.
We have no children at home, but yet we don't ever get any alone time. We still get calls from my wife and I, for the first time in a long time, on Saturday, got on the Harley, go for a ride. It was wonderful. Nobody called, none of our friends could go with us or anything. It was just us. But at the end of the day, we get a call from our oldest daughter saying, "Hey, by the way, tomorrow the kids want to go on the boat, so now I got to get
You never stop parenting. You never stop parenting.
Bill, I have one word to describe the situation. Blessed. I mean, dude, you have the perfect life. You're so lucky.
Perloff, you know what my alone time is? On a Saturday when my wife says, we need to go to the grocery store to grab something, and I'll say, can you go? And sure. That gives me a 2-hour time period. And in that 2 hours, I only have 20 minutes for myself to be alone because I know my wife expects me to clean stuff up while she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 20 minutes, and then I look at my clock, and I go on my phone to locate where she's at. I go, okay, got to get this done, done.
And that's why you are happily married, Bill, because you realize you're keeping up your end of the bargain, my friend. Listen, you got the Harley, so that's cool,
Well, you got to try to but it's the matter. The Harley sits in the garage more than anything else because the kids are always calling us saying, we got to go do it. They'll call and say, hey, you guys want to go out to dinner tonight? Sure, let's go out to dinner. Guess who gets to pay?
Bill.
You know what I love?
That's awesome. Thank you, Bill.
That reminds me of that. I've told this joke before. Jim Gaffigan's joke about he has 5 kids, famously the comedian. He says the only moment of peace is when he straps in that last kid and closes the minivan door. The walk around from one side of the car to the other is the only 4 seconds of peace he gets all day. Trust me, it gets so much easier. I understand, like,
It's not hard to me.
By the way,
it's
like,
just, you don't get a lot of alone time.
most grandparents are like, God, I wish my kids called more. Bill's got a abundance of riches and is complaining about this, and he's got a boat and a Harley. Dude, you're living the life.
It's a grass is greener situation, right?
I think
Bill,
so.
obviously,
I think so.
He wouldn't trade it for anything, I'm sure. But yeah,
It sounds like he would. It feels like he could get rid of 4 or 5 of those. Not get rid of. That's terrible.
Jeez, Perloff.
Trade him in for a
different
new
motorcycle. William is in San Francisco, wants to talk about a conversation we were having last segment, which was the guttiest, grittiest performances by an athlete who's been hurt or injured in a playoff game or in a game, because we're talking about Joel Embiid and his gritty performance last night. William, how are you, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, Maggie?
We're good. What's up?
I also followed down the other little rabbit hole with Maggie. I'm hoping to have my little Maggie moment on trampoline with my daughter tomorrow. I'm taking her out of school, and I'm taking off work and taking her to her first baseball game, just me and my daughter. So
that's awesome.
I'm going to be looking at her like how you were looking at your daughter on the trampoline, hoping do not forget this moment, girl.
Yep. Make sure it's like seared in your brain. But taking your daughter to a baseball game, you're never sure what kind of impact that could have, William, because my grandmother took me to minor league games in Binghamton, New York, and it started my love of sports. So you never know where that baseball game could go.
Well, I was just about to say, or you matter, but she got you into the Mets, which caused nothing but misery.
That wasn't her fault. William, we left you with no time. We'll have to get again. We're up against the top of the hour break, which we can do nothing about. All right, lots to do. Basketball's on the table. Draft it's basically here, Perloff. Round 1 of the NFL draft is Thursday. We get the thoughts of an expert coming up next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Maggie and Perloff.
4 seconds. 3 seconds left. Why are they not fouling? Jumper Murray. Got it to Hard. Denver mounts the comeback. They come back from 20 points down. They win game number 2. 101 to 99 is the final. And the Lakers can take that out on the way out.
Wow, Nuggets radio not pulling any punches there. What a comeback by Denver last night. They take care of the Lakers, who had a 20-point lead in this game, Perloff. It was devastating if you're LA, because you felt like you finally had a chance. You finally had a chance to beat the Nuggets, something you haven't done now in the last 10 tries. I mean, if you are going to try to make anything out of the end of LeBron's career here, beating the Nuggets is going to be essential, and last night was a gut punch.
Yeah, they could have used that one, Maggie. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I think they finally break this streak here in L.A. because I do think the home court advantage made a big difference for the Nuggets. A couple calls that maybe would have gone the Lakers' way in L.A. The altitude, I think, is a real thing. I think that you say after 2 games you should be used to it. I feel like this is close enough where the Lakers are going to at least win a game. I don't think they're going to win the series. I think the Nuggets are going to win the NBA title. So that's the thing. Like, the Lakers just is this bad luck that they just drew the. If the NBA had a logic, the Nuggets would be the 1 seed, the Lakers would be facing the T-Wolves or the Thunder, they would advance. But unfortunately, they're running into Denver.
Well, I don't know if it's the NBA had any logic. I think it's the Lakers who, right after the play-in tournament, which they won, not the play-in tournament, the in-season tournament, the inaugural in-season tournament, which they won. After that, they kind of went on this skid. It felt like they really expended a lot of energy to win that mid-season tournament, which kind of meant nothing. And now, here they are where they've got their 2 best players who are healthy. and they've lost to the Nuggets every which way. Okay, we put the basketball conversation on hold just for a moment because we have to get to one of our good friends and someone whose opinion we value more than anyone when it comes to the NFL draft, and that is Jim Nagy. He's the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl and was a longtime scout in the NFL. Jim, thanks so much for the time. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. It's good we're transitioning away from hoops to do a little draft. I can't believe there's a show that's not talking about draft right now. I love it.
Yeah, well, for the Laker fans, they get a reprieve now. We're going to talk about the draft for a couple minutes. They don't have to remember how bad that was last night. Let's start with the quarterbacks because don't we always? JJ McCarthy, I'm curious if you can put your scout hat on, something you did and made a career of for so long. How would you judge McCarthy? I think this is difficult because his body of work, while a champion and an impressive resume, it doesn't really match up with a lot of other quarterbacks in this draft class.
Yeah, Maggie, this evaluation for me was a little backwards. We invited JJ to the Senior Bowl. They just had that long season. We actually had some Michigan guys that had accepted invites to come here and play in the game. And after that long season, they didn't play. I think we ended up with 5 or 6 Michigan guys. But, I didn't really do like a deep dive into JJ until a few weeks ago when the narrative was really set. Usually, like we've already seen 75% of the Power 5 players for next year in the office already. So I was playing from behind. So it was a little bit different. But I see everything that everyone's saying about JJ McCarthy. Like this isn't some fabricated thing. This kid can play. He's a really good decision maker. He's good on the move. He's a really good athlete. I wish he would have tested. This quarterback class, the only guy that tested this whole group was Michael Penix. And I think if we started the process and asked, who is going to be the least athletic of these guys, it was probably going to be Michael Penix. And then he runs 4.55, 4.52, depending on what scout you talk to. All these other guys were going to roll. So I wish JJ would have tested. I'll say this, I think the knock right now or the skeptics when it comes to JJ are that he didn't have to do a lot, right? Like Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards in the running game, they kind of drove the bus there in Ann Arbor. But I think sometimes it's harder to play quarterback when you're put in third and long situations and red zone situations and you got to come up with a throw when you haven't been throwing it 40 times a game and you're kind of out of rhythm. And I really think JJ excelled in those situations. So I understand people wish they would have seen this guy put the team on his back, but he's a good player. Somebody's going to get a really good player.
Like top 10? Like a top 10 grade?
I could see it because, you've got teams like, Minnesota and the Giants, teams, that are in that quarterback conversation. Shoot, look at the Saints. We're 2 hours from New Orleans, so I'm kind of, in tune with what the Saints need. That's another team that's kind of quarterback hungry. So you look at some of these regimes as well, head coach, GM, they need to make a move. Sometimes when you make the move, it buys you some time as well. So that's something that's not being talked about right now. But there's some guys that if they make that move, they probably extend their time with the team at least a year or two. So
I want to ask about one of your former teams, Jim. The Seattle Seahawks have kind of been linked to Michael Penix, who was in Seattle with Washington, same offensive coordinator. Feels like the perfect fit of all fits. But your former boss, John Schneider, has never drafted a first-round quarterback. Is there any chance they make an exception and go for Michael Penix?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Because John came off the Ron Wolf tree, and Ron Wolf was famous for drafting a quarterback every single year, right? Like, draft Aaron Brooks, trade him for a pick. Draft Mark Brunell, trade him for a pick. Matt Hasselbeck, trade him for a pick when they had Brett Favre. So, I can speak to my time in Seattle. We brought Patrick Mahomes in for a visit that year. The year Mahomes was coming out, it was when Russell's rookie deal was coming up, and I think and John was enamored with Patrick Mahomes. And I think he saw, okay, if we give Russell this huge deal, that's going to really hamstring what we can do with the Legion of Boom defense contract-wise. So I think his mind has been on a first-round quarterback for a long time. It just hasn't happened. So could I see it happening? Yes. Yeah, you mentioned Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinators with Michael. Nobody knows him better. It would certainly be a popular pick up there in Seattle if they kept him at home. And you've got a nice succession plan with Geno up there. And don't count out Sam Howell in Seattle either. They really like Sam Howell. So, Sam Howell would be younger than some of these guys coming out in this draft, and he's got, whatever it is, 18 starts already. So, I could see Seattle doing that.
Jim Nagy is joining us. He's the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. He's also a longtime scout and helps us break down, quarterbacks, but other positions too, Jim. For Michael Penix and Bo Nix, these were two guys who were at the Senior Bowl this year, invitees. If you were scouting still, would you have first-round grades on either of those guys?
Yeah, and it's going to sound really biased. I'm sitting in the chair that brought him to this game. I would, and I like them for they're very different prospects. You hear a lot of coaches talk about, we want guys that can win from the pocket, right? And I think that's where you've heard a lot of Penix buzz over the last few weeks. And that's because the coaches have had an opportunity to go in the draft room and express their opinions on these players. I think it's pretty widely known at this point that coaches kind of like Penix more than the scouts do. Scouts kind of picked apart some of the accuracy stuff. The coaches see that they can improve some of that underneath stuff. And he's the best deep ball thrower in the draft. So that would be my case for Penix. And then Bo Nix, man, I think this guy's got picked apart more than anybody because of the age factor. And again, I think all the analytics models, they need to shift a little bit. NIL is keeping these kids in school much longer. Reps are a good thing. Experience is a good thing. You're certainly not getting it when you get to the NFL. You're getting thrown to the wolves. So you need to play some football. And this isn't 1985 where quarterbacks have gray beards when they're 32 years old and they retire. These guys are playing, if they're any good, these guys are playing well into their, late 30s to 40. We're seeing all these good ones push it. So age isn't really a factor. I think if you look at what he did at Auburn and Oregon, he's two different players. He's shown the ability to create. When he was at Auburn, he had to run around behind a porous offensive line and do some things off script. And then he goes to Oregon and plays within the structure, and he's the most accurate quarterback in this year's draft. So, yes, I would, long-windedly, Maggie, I would have first-round grades on both these guys.
All right, Jim, it sounds like you are of the camp. There might be a lot of quarterbacks in the first round. Maggie and I have been having sort of a back and forth about this. A couple years ago, you went Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, all first-rounders, and it really hasn't worked out well. I think this class are going to be a lot of first-rounders. I feel like there's going to be a lot of hits in this class. It's an unfair to ask you to project, but is it possible we see 3 or 4 long-time productive NFL quarterbacks in this class?
Yeah, why aren't we talking about which guys that are going to be traded in the next couple of years? That should be the conversation.
Seventh-round picks.
Forget who's going to be first-round picks. Which of the first-round picks are going to be traded? And again, if you look at that class from a couple years ago, there was a lot of circumstances. You got like a Justin Fields case where he was drafted by a regime that then got pushed out, and now you've got a new regime kind of wanting their guy. I think we all know what happened with Mac Jones in New England with the offensive coaching thing. So, and then Brock Purdy emerges and pushes Trey Lance aside in San Francisco. So unique. But I'm with you. I think this is going to be a class where some of these guys really stick around and become, if not like franchise quarterbacks that are Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, certainly, kind of that middle tier guy that you can win a lot of games with.
Jim Nagy's joining us. He's the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Also been a scout for a long time, is going to be on all of this draft coverage coming up in the next couple of days, all up on our TVs. And Jim, we thank you for carving out the time for us. If you were the Commanders, who would you take at 2? Would it be Drake May or would it be Jayden Daniels?
Well, I'm a little biased on this one. I didn't see Drake play in a game. I was in Tuscaloosa when Jayden Daniels absolutely shredded that Alabama defense. He was like a wet noodle through, the second level, and then he gets out in space in the deep. He's slippery, man, for a guy that runs upright, kind of like Forrest Gump. I mean, he's really slippery. And then he gets in the open field, and you can't track him down. And then I was sitting at home a couple weeks later and saw what he did against Florida, where he's the first quarterback ever to throw for 300 and rush for 200 in the same game. So I've seen Jayden more, and I'm thinking it from like a defensive coach's perspective, which I know Dan Quinn is doing in Washington, right? Like, how do you defend that guy? That's why I think Washington, that if I had to pick a quarterback for them, I would just think Dan Quinn thinking Jayden Daniels is going to keep you up at night. Trying to figure out a way to stop that guy. So my pick would be Jayden.
Do you think there should have been more discussion about Jayden Daniels versus Caleb Williams for the number 1 pick, Jim?
Yeah, I think it was a foregone. Yeah, I do. I think it was a foregone conclusion that Caleb was the guy since we started the college season. That you get people out there throwing the generational term on Caleb Williams, and then the train was down the tracks already. That shouldn't stop an NFL team by any means. I mean, NFL teams shouldn't get wrapped into what the media narrative is, right? But I know the Bears have done their homework. I worked with Ryan Poles in Kansas City. He does a great job. I know they've vetted this whole thing thoroughly. But I know it's not consensus. This isn't something where Caleb Williams is number one on 32 boards right now. I have spoken to some teams that Jaden is that guy. This whole thing is really packed. There's no consensus order when you throw in J.J. McCarthy and Drake May, and even Michael Penix into that top 5 mix. It's interesting. But yeah, I do think there should have been more conversation there at the top.
Jim Nagy, again, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl and longtime NFL scout, is all over the draft coverage, which gets going on Thursday. Okay, Jim, last year at this time, you gave us a name to watch out for, and his name was Tyson Bagent, right? And we were like, all right, I guess Shepherd University. We thought you were making that up. You weren't. It's a real place. And because basically you need 3 quarterbacks to get through a season, and like 60, 70, 80 quarterbacks actually take snaps during an NFL season, you need depth. Who's the Tyson Bagent? Who's the guy who's the quarterback who we're gonna be scrambling to figure out who this person is and where did they come from when a team is desperate this season?
Well, I'll say this: there's not another Tyson Bagent. He is one of one. The Shepherd starter, and he went 2-2 last year as a starter for a Chicago Bears team that struggled. Think about that; it's pretty good. I can't dip down in the Division II ranks for you, but I will say a name that's off the radar because all we're doing right now is talking about these top 6 guys, right? I mean, maybe a little Spencer Rattler sprinkled in there, but I would give you Michael Pratt from Tulane. Again, he's kind of in our backyard here in Mobile, playing over there in New Orleans, but he's a guy that really lifted that Tulane program. Back in the day, like when I started scouting, I mean, we used to put a lot of emphasis on that. You think about like Brett Favre, taking Southern Miss and going into Tallahassee and beating Bobby Bowden's Florida State teams and, going on the road to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama. So what Pratt did, a year ago, they go to the Cotton Bowl. He beats Caleb Williams head to head if you do the quarterback versus quarterback thing. And then this year, their only real loss was to Ole Miss, and he didn't play in that game. They could have been in back-to-back January 6 bowl games with Michael Pratt. So he's a guy, again, I think he goes somewhere on day 2, probably third round. But if we're sitting here in 3 or 4 years, like a Dak Prescott who went in the 4th round or Kirk Cousins who went in the 4th round, like, man, this guy's a solid starter. I think it could be Michael Pratt.
Last one for me, Jim. So Jim Harbaugh sitting there at number 5 with the Chargers. Possible Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to him. Do you think there's any way he would shock the world and take a left tackle or actually a right tackle, either one, instead of one of the star receivers who might fall to him at 5?
Yeah, I think I don't know this. There's no inside info, but I think if they stay at 5, they're taking a wide receiver. This tackle class is deep enough. They could get one in the 2nd round. I mean, there's good players like Roger Rosengarten from Washington. I mean, there's a slew of tackles that they could get, and they're looking for a right tackle. They've got their left tackle. Rashawn Slater is a Pro Bowl level player at left tackle, so you could get the tackle. So, and I don't know if it's Marvin Harrison Jr. That's another one. Like that's not consensus either. There's teams that really love Malik Neighbors, and there's teams that love Rome Odunze. And if you've dug into Rome Odunze's past and where he's come from, teams that really put an emphasis on grit and toughness, and which we know Jim Harbaugh does. Rome Odunze makes a lot of sense. So I would go get a guy to pair with Justin Herbert and give Justin a playmaker.
Jim, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We value your expertise so much, and we know this is a busy time of year. So thank you, Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl.
Have fun
Jim.
in Detroit. Say hi to everyone for us.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate that, Jim Nagy.
Yeah, by the way, we're not going to the draft this year. I heard it's going to be super cold there.
What are you, meteorologist on the side? You think Detroit's going to be cold this time of year, huh?
I actually heard, it's funny, not that this is why, but there's going to be very, very few actual players there this year. For some reason,
we had the list, didn't we?
Yeah, it's way down this year, the number, and a lot of people are not going to Detroit. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the weather. So that'll be interesting to see. A lot of like Nix and Penix are not going.
Yeah. Can I just say that would be a red flag to me if I was a GM, if the player didn't want to go to Detroit for the draft because it's cold in April. I know the Lions play inside, but if I'm a cold weather GM, like If I'm Buffalo, if I'm Green Bay, if I'm Cleveland, if I'm Cincinnati, that's an automatic cross-off.
I was actually really talking about media friends.
Oh,
But
is that what you're talking about?
but that being said, it's supposed to be kind of down. A lot of guys, there are a lot of reasons you might want to do something marketing elsewhere. That's been the trend. So last year, I think a ton of guys went. This year, I think the numbers could be way down.
See, I wasn't sure if maybe it was because guys, I get it, especially if you're a quarterback. Unless you really know that you're going in the first round or even the top of the first round, like Will Levis last year. I mean, that was painful to watch.
But that's just the quarterbacks. I mean, 85% of the people there would be non-quarterbacks.
Right,
But-
so the quarterbacks who are going to be, these are the quarterbacks who were invited. Jaden Daniels, Sam Hartman, Devin Leary, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Joe Milton, Bo Nix, Penix, Pratt, Radler. I don't know if all these guys are going to be here. Is that possible?
They were all invited.
Oh, sorry, that was the scouting combine. I'm like, what? No,
Yeah, Sam
that
Hartman
can't
was
be.
definitely not.
Like, why would they ever do that? Pardon me. No. To the draft. Looks like May and why is this
I think
not
it's just
available
Jaden
for
May.
me?
Is J.J. McCarthy going? I think he is, right? Or is he the one who's not going? Somebody big is not going.
EJ, bail me out here. Why can't I get the invitees? Invited to the draft. This should be the easiest thing I could ever find. And it gave me scouting combine. How dare you? NFL.com. Again, scouting combine. Oh, here we go. Gotcha. All right. Stand by.
So 13 prospects, right?
Yes. All right. Here we go. You ready? Here are your quarterbacks. You've got Jaden Daniels. You've got Drake May. And you've got Caleb Williams. That looks like it's it for QBs. Yep.
That's
there you
it.
go.
There's only 13 prospects that will be in the green room.
So last year, 17 were officially there, but I remember there were a bunch of guys there who were not official too. So it's probably about 10 less than last year.
Yeah, right now you got Caleb, Drake, Marvin Harrison, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Dallas Turner, Tarian Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, Latu, Brian Thomas Jr., J.C. Latham, and Darius Robinson are the only guys.
It feels like those guys are all going first
They're
round.
going early.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in there is lasting until the second round.
So here's an interesting thing that Jim Nagy said, right? Many interesting things. But the other one of them was he would definitely take Jaden Daniels, too, over Drake May. And I doubt that any kind of, agent sending tweets or whatever would probably move them off that. And when push comes to shove. And that there should have been more conversation about Jaden and Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I know what he's talking about. If you want a fun experience before the draft, watch the YouTube clip of every throw Jaden made against Alabama. It's a virtuoso performance until he almost got killed.
Yeah, I was going to say he got decleated, but
that's a problem. Well, it was a dirty hit. They should have probably kicked Dallas Turner out of that game. But that being said, I mean, these actual games nobody is as good as Jaden. Although Caleb's film is, I'm sure, it's spectacular. I mean, Caleb's incredible too. I kind of disagree. Like, I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan, have been all along.
Yep.
Still, Caleb Williams it's like he's perfect. What is wrong with him? He's a can't miss guy. So I don't know. Here's the thing. Jim also said GMs are risk averse. Like they have ulterior motive. They want to keep their job.
yeah, that is
So
the
I
last
think-
thing that a fan wants to hear.
But I think there's a reality. He's basically said GMs want to make a pick that'll keep them employed for 3 years.
Yeah, I know. And I know that's the reality, but that's still tough to hear as a fan.
But if
Because-
you're
I'm a GM, so basically I get to throw what up against the wall in a desperate attempt to save my job. So that's how we're ending up with some quarterback that no one believes in.
But I think his point was if you're Ryan Poles, the Bears GM, and you pass on Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams becomes the next Patrick Mahomes, that would look worse. You have to be somewhat risk averse.
And that's why I always said that the Bears were going to take Caleb because Justin Fields, the old Caleb versus Justin Fields thing, it never held up because Fields wasn't good enough to hold off Caleb Williams.
Yep.
Okay, a lot there, so that's really cool. Coming up, we're separating some fact from fiction on this draft. We do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back. The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
I think I got it this week.
I have a guess too, but go ahead.
So EJ picks the Defensive Player of the Week. I think he went with Chet Holmgren. Oklahoma City Thunder, game 1 against the Pels. They win 5 blocks for Chet.
I think he went Rudy Gobert because he's been trying to push this Timberwolves narrative.
his Timberwolves agenda.
And the Thunder Pelican series is a series that does not exist for all intents and purposes. I don't think. I mean,
that was a good first game, though. That was a fun one. 94-92, Sunday night. Late.
I mean, I'll bet you the Cleveland Magic will get one of the lowest ratings in NBA playoff history. That Pels Thunder, it might as well not exist.
But it was a good game.
But it's irrelevant. You're playing a shadow of that Pelicans team. It's totally a non-series. Go ahead.
All right, so our defensive player this week is Isaiah Hartenstein of the New York Knicks, who had 3 blocks in last night's Game 2 win, including the game-saving block against Tyrese Maxey as he drove to the basket, getting a fingernail, as Maggie said earlier in the show, on the ball to deflect it. Of course, keeping the Knicks 1-point lead. The Knicks would go on to win. It's not a defensive stat per se, but he also had a massive offensive rebound, of course, that also kept the team alive. So Isaiah Hartenstein, 3 blocks in the win, big block on on Maxey down the stretch, leads him to be my defensive player of the week.
So the fact that he let up over 30 points to a man on one leg, there's no problem with that.
He shot 29 shots, Embiid. 34 points and 29 shots. We'll take that from Isaiah Hartenstein.
I mean, I'm just saying, when the Knicks come in, you just gave an offensive rebound credit for defensive player of the week. That's how desperate you are to get the Knicks into this.
He had the biggest block of the postseason so far.
I'm just kidding. No, he had a great job.
Perloff is deflated here, and I gotta be honest. You're with the rest of the audience because we put out on social media who had the more gut-wrenching loss last night, and it was your Sixers who are winning this poll 53% over the Lakers.
I don't understand. I mean, obviously, per one game, what happened to the Sixers is way worse than what happened to the Lakers, right? I mean, I understand big picture, maybe the Lakers, but the Lakers were in a tie game for the last 3 minutes of the game.
Well, may I also present our second poll, which was, how would you describe Game 2 of Lakers-Nuggets? Nuggets won or Lakers blew it? Lakers blew it, also leading that poll.
I have a side poll that I think we need to pick up tomorrow. We kind of talked, where is Jokic on the all-time player list? Who's higher on the all-time player list, Kevin Durant or Jokic?
I mean, Durant's been in the league a lot longer.
God, my Twitter feed is like, it's not even close. It's Joker.
I'm telling you, and thank you. This is proving my point from yesterday, not to be that person, but this Suns situation and the Nets before that, this is hurting Durant's legacy. These last 4 years for him have hurt his long-term legacy.
But the thing is, his legacy was never, I mean, he's higher now than he was 4 years ago. He was like 18 and now he's up to 12. But what's he supposed to do? He's 35 years old.
No, but he was traded to the Suns to put together a super team. Now,
nobody thought that team was going to work. Nobody did. There's not a single, show me an NBA expert who said the Suns were going to win the title this year. They don't exist.
Well, I don't know about if it was win the title, but I think it was to have a bigger impact than now. And I think Durant for sure thought he's teaming up with Devin Booker, one of the best young players in the league, who's not as young anymore, but still young, and Bradley Beal, who's getting paid like a megastar.
It's so funny to me that team was close to irrelevant. I just didn't think they were in the discussion. Nobody was like, "Oh man, the Nuggets are scared of this team."
I'm just telling you, this is hurting Durant. Them teaming up with Kyrie in Brooklyn, and then now this people are not going to remember. Well, they will, but the peak Durant of him winning back-to-back Finals MVPs, like that feels far away.
The only thing that mattered with Durant was that he cannot ever get rid of the bus passenger.
We knew that bus rider.
Yeah, he'll never get over that Warriors. The fact that he chose the Warriors, that one move. Doesn't matter. I mean, most players fade in their late 30s. Sure. I don't know what you expect Kevin Durant to do.
Nuggets, the Suns, by the way, were second and third in preseason odds to win.
Yeah, they're sticky in Vegas. But do you see any expert who's picked them to do anything? I mean,
before the season, there were some.
Really? I don't understand. Yeah. They have no bench and they have no front court.
I wasn't picking them. I kept telling you.
I just didn't think they'd be healthy. That part of it.
Do you even count Booker, Beal, and Durant? Is that a super team? Does that qualify as a super team?
If you took all their salaries, I bet it would equal super team.
No, but I'm serious. Like, is that a super team? Did you say, wow, with the Suns super team?
I think that was formed to be a big three.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like they were kind of, nobody wanted Beal's contract, I think, and they just sort of settled into this crew.
So here's something I just want to pull back from earlier, which was we were talking about the games last night, and both games had some interesting officiating and some foul calls. And that's been happening throughout the playoffs, even though they're this young playoffs. But even when they're going to the replay at times, they're replaying it and still seem to be getting the calls wrong in super duper slow-mo and with all those camera angles. So I was telling you before about this Gilbert Arenas podcast episode where he has Evan Turner and Andre Iguodala, who are both on the show. And Evan Turner starts telling a story that was relayed to him in 2012. And this is when LeBron is on the Heat. And this is when the Heat and the Celtics were having these crazy battles back and forth. And he talked about being a young player on the 76ers at the time and not being the team that the league necessarily wanted to see go far, at least according to him.
This is the NBA, it's entertainment. Like, LeBron is in the Heat or waiting. Would you rather watch the Celtics or the Sixers play the Heat? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm on the team. I wouldn't even watch the Sixers play the Heat type Like, you got to appreciate it. But mind you, I'm young, 22, 23. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? So it's like, so we get in this game. You know how much money the NBA is going to lose? Like, this, type I'm like, I guess, like, a decent amount. It's like, would you watch that game next week if it was the Heat versus the Sixers? I'm like, nah. It's like, okay, then. So, like, that's why I'm telling you, take M's and M's from this. I'm like, what? He's like, millions of memories, because this is entertainment.
So that was Evan Turner talking on Gilbert Arenas' podcast last year, and anyone who ever had a conspiracy theory about the NBA, Evan Turner basically put gasoline and lit a match to your theories or anyone's theories that the NBA tries to push the stars as far as they can.
Yeah, I mean, was that more of a, like, is he saying, yeah, well, we all know the stars get calls? Or is that like a real conspiracy there?
He said that if you're going to beat a good team and a team with lots of stars, if you got to beat them by 15 to beat them by 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love MichaelJordan. He's the greatest player ever, but he got every call. That's fact.
No doubt. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got headlines for us. Hello.
Hello. Let's stick on that topic here. A lot of missed opportunities. Also, a lot of complaining last night in the NBA. LeBron leaving his post-game press conference early, upset with the refs after losing at the buzzer in Denver. And Joel Embiid was PO'd after his Sixers gave one away at MSG. The Knicks scoring 8 points in the final 28 seconds to win 104-101. In between Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo threes, Philly tried to call time to protect possession, but didn't get that whistle.
Everybody on the floor was trying to call a timeout, myself including Nico, coach on the sideline. But they didn't give it to us. But, forget about the timeout. There's a bunch of fouls. That's, like I said, that's unacceptable.
The Sixers whining will apparently go as far as filing an actual grievance with the league. LeBron didn't like some of the decisions in that game and in his, a 101-99 loss in Denver, despite his Lakers leading by 20 in the third. Again, Jamal Murray hitting a fall away over Anthony Davis at the horn for that win. The Cavs and Magic, meanwhile, played their game 2 without incident. Cleveland taking a 2-0 lead, 96-86, with Donovan Mitchell scoring 23. The fight over owning the Minnesota Timberwolves will reportedly go to mediation starting next Wednesday. Glenn Taylor canceled his deal with Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry in late March, saying they missed deadlines to finish their purchase of the club. A-Rod and Lowry say they were following the guidelines, and Taylor is having seller's remorse. And the exclusive negotiating window between the NBA and ESPN and TNT Sports ended at midnight Eastern without an extension of their current TV rights deal, as far as we know. It's likely that at some point those two will basically keep their same inventory of games, but the NBA could add a streamer like Amazon Prime, and said streamer might end up with a conference final or NBA finals at some point during this long-term agreement.
Wow. The finals?
Yeah.
They're really going to give the finals to a streaming service?
I mean, it's
The
bad.
Athletic says that's possible.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that. I mean, first of all, if the Nuggets beat the Lakers, then this is the NBA playoffs. It's a tree falling in the woods. No one's going to see any of this. So if they go to a streamer, forget it. Dead.
I think
dead in the water.
I mean, listen, they put all the games on ABC, and it still has trouble sometimes getting these huge ratings. So
I mean,
that's what's the opposite of that, is going to a streaming service.
Well, Amazon Prime, though, I feel like everyone has Prime to get the discount on ordering Amazon. Maybe that's a little easier.
Well, in the
if
NFL.
They go to Peacock. Can you imagine a finals on something that's even a little more niche than that? That'd be crazy.
Well, just do a complete deal with NBC. Go back to NBC. Do a lot of the games on NBC. Do some games on Peacock.
Yeah, I don't think NBC is involved in this. The names I saw yesterday were Amazon, Google, Apple TV.
Well, that's ridiculous.
What's
NBC
Google
should be
is
involved in it.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I mean,
Could the finals
that'd be
on
a huge deal.
YouTube TV? I mean, listen, you're still the
there was
audience
a-
is going to be less, but like you know,
I mean, we
it's
should
a
put up
pretty
a
good
poll.
product
Remember
for Red Zone.
Last year, remember, there was a huge issue in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals where YouTube TV people basically didn't see the last 4 minutes of Heat Celtics.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Massive issue. It was either last year or 2 years ago. I forgot which season, but essentially it kept replaying a commercial over and over again.
Oh,
for the
that's
last,
brutal.
So, I mean, the fact that NBA is even discussing this is a little nerve-wracking considering they just had a big snafu regarding a streaming service recently in the playoffs.
Imagine if
no
it was the
recollection of that.
SGA Chet commercial just over and over again. What could be the pinnacle annoying commercial that could just be running over and over while you're trying to watch the last 5 minutes of a big game? Probably the SGA and Chet one.
Get stuck in your head. I have a question.
Incredible
Okay.
how much people hate that commercial, by the way. Like my girlfriend doesn't care anything about what's on TV when it comes to basketball. That commercial comes on. She's like, I cannot stand that stupid
so
commercial,
bad.
those stupid guys. I think this is the NBA's way of trying to make the Thunder the new villains of the NBA. Like, hey, the
They're
young,
wearing black like trench coats.
Nobody knows who they are.
Yeah.
Let's just make them really annoying so that people will then want to see them lose.
Informal poll. All right, if you didn't have to watch it for work and the finals went to YouTube TV and you don't have YouTube, would you pay extra for the finals?
100%. But that's me.
No.
I think I would. I'm a pretty big sports fan.
Yeah.
Even not for work.
Bogusch?
I mean, I have Apple to watch baseball. I've got all the things.
Right. I mean, I guess it depends on how they would do it. Like, I wouldn't switch my service altogether to have YouTube TV, but if it's like, whatchamacallit, Sunday Ticket, and it was just like an extra thing, then possibly.
Yeah.
No?
I had
It's
a
no
principle.
for you?
Well, I would not buy it. I'd watch it at my friend's house, but I just think that it would make me so. It
You
would
could be at
make,
your friend's house for a week and a half. Finals could be a 7-game series. That's a lot of imposing.
I don't know why. It'd make me furious. I would be so mad if they put that on streaming. I feel like it's such a middle finger to fans who are already not watching you on TV. I know a lot. NBA has different ways here people watch it. A lot of people watch highlights on YouTube, but that's so annoying, right? Or I don't even like the fact that I have to go from Amazon to cable on Thursday night to watch the college football game. If they do the finals, I can't believe I'm the only one who'd be upset about this.
The one wrinkle on this is something Adam Silver's talked about a lot, is that the one thing they've seen through their data is that a lot of their fans watch NBA games or NBA clips on the internet. And
Right.
that
So they're
the
trying to
problem
be
has
where
been,
the fans
the
are.
problem has been trying to get those people who watch clips online to watching games on television. So this could be their thing to say, hey, our audience is mostly online anyway.
Yeah, it's a
More
unique
so
problem.
than other
Yeah.
leagues. Let's go where they are. I don't know if this is the remedy, though, but that could be part of this.
But is watching a Wemby highlights the same as watching a sporting event?
I think not. I don't think it's smart. But I think to his, if you were going to shoot him some bail, that is probably what he would
That's
say.
crap. That just means I want to get as much money as humanly possible for my owners. That has
Bingo.
nothing to do with
But to be
meeting the
honest,
audience.
though, like we're going there with I think almost every sport. To be fair, now
Yeah,
should they maybe the
that's
first to be
true.
do this? I don't think so. But Super Bowl is definitely going on streaming at some point.
I don't think so. I disagree with you on
that's
that.
gonna happen.
There's no way the Super Bowl is going
They
on streaming.
they make you pay $80 for a boxing match. You don't think they're gonna? You don't think the people were gonna pay money to watch the Super Bowl? Of course they would.
I'm
Well,
so
that's-
positive they will not.
That's a John Skipper, the former president
Yeah.
of ESPN. That's his big bet, is that at some point in the very near future, the Super Bowl will be a pay-per-view event.
Absolutely.
I'll bet you guys any amount of money the NFL will not do. Why does the NFL need to do that? Why would they take all that negative publicity? A kind of negative publicity they wouldn't, they have the head injury issue. They have all the domestic violence. None of that would all pale in comparison to how much hatred
The
they
money
get for
they
doing
would
that.
generate though from putting their games on a streaming situation, billions maybe.
Like the cost would be too much.
They generate so much money to begin with without doing that.
They have infinite
That's
money
never stopped the
already.
NFL
They have
before, though.
infinite plus. There is no way they would do that because they'd be considered un-American. Be a terrible move.
Here's the thing, though. But they still felt like they got a bump from Taylor Swift, right? Like they're still trying to reach even more segments of the population.
So they're going to cut their viewership in half.
That's
to reach?
why I'm kind of
Yeah,
agreeing with you.
yeah.
Like they're still trying to find new audiences and new audiences. I get the bird in the hand versus two in the bush, I guess, if you want to use that analogy for paying for it. But I think the NFL, look at what they're doing. They're forcing and shoving the Europe games down our throat. Brazil now, believe me, if they
Yeah.
could play a game in in India, they would do it. If they could do it in China, they would do it.
They've been trying for 30 years. They've had an office dedicated to China. They've been trying so hard to get into China like the NBA did, and they haven't been able to do it. You're so right. The Europe thing, the Brazil, Mexico, they want a bigger audience, not a smaller audience. And they don't need that. It's a cash grab if you go to Amazon. It's not a good move.
Yeah. However, if you gave me a package on streaming where I could watch all the Caitlin Clark games, I would do it. I would buy the WNBA package streaming just to watch that.
Essentially what the Apple Plus did with Messi.
I got to tell you right, I'll tell you right now, by the way, about the streaming. Like the NBA audiences, in 20 years, it's not going to be a major sport like it is now. It's going to be like what happened to baseball is going to happen to the NBA.
Regionalized? No.
I just think the popularity peaked in 1997, and I just don't think it's going to be the same.
Generational.
I think the one difference, though, is young people still love stars, and the NBA has individual stars. These guys are all individual brands, and I think that's not going to go away.
Well, young people
baseball doesn't have that problem.
Young people are playing baseball. Look at Bogusch's kids.
Young people don't like sports. They don't watch sports. They play e-games. It's just that they're never going to recreate this old person audience, like idiots like me.
But I think the interest in these players and these guys, I think that's not going anywhere, which is why I don't think NBA will suffer the exact same fate as Major League Baseball.
We've left Bogusch no more time.
Sorry, Bogusch.
What else you got? We got one time for maybe one more.
Bring the Islanders back.
Oh, they lost to the Hurricanes in a completely uneventful game, 5-3. Carolina leads 2-0.
As if Pete hasn't been through enough today.
And prayers to the Chicago White Sox. 7-0 losers in Minnesota last night. They are now 3-19. They have been shut out. Guys, it's April 23rd. They have been shut out 8 times already, at least once in every series they have played so far this season.
You want to talk about an organization that's run terribly? The Chicago White Sox.
Thanks, Pete.
We're getting that memo. What are they, as a team, I think they're slashing like 170 something.
And then they've had some significant injuries, but that still does not give them a free pass for 3-19 and being shut out in more than a third of their games.
They shouldn't be worse than the A's. And they are.
They are.
There are 3 teams with a lower than 30% winning percentage right now in baseball. That's terrible. I mean,
and one of them is the Astros.
Obviously, blue sky is blue, but I mean, I know the Astros are one of them that you think maybe they would fix themselves, but that can't be good for baseball. I mean, they have multiple franchises that are they're on to 110 loss seasons.
Well, can I introduce you to the Pistons and the Wizards and kind of not the Spurs. They were better than them. Those other 2 teams. Bad teams happen.
I know, but that's bad. No, you're right.
I'm sorry. As a team, they're batting 190.
Not good.
Is that bad? Thank you, Bogusch. Appreciate that. Coming up, we've got the sleeper team who will be drafting a quarterback this week. Maggie and Perloff. Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Makes a move. Denzel. The Nuggets have won.
Kevin Harlan, TNT, as only he can do it. It was incredible game last night. Incredible comeback for the Nuggets. Just gut-wrenching if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. Perloff, call it now. Will the Lakers win a game in this series?
Yes, the Lakers break the Nuggets win streak in L.A. One, maybe 2 games. This could go 6 games, but the Nuggets definitely win the series.
So here's a question. How do you think the Lakers are going to win 2 games if you think it's, they really don't have a shot against the Nuggets and the Nuggets don't do, and that the Nuggets, you said you were not so surprised that they came back and won that game last night?
Just because the Nuggets get bored, play with their food.
Get bored.
I think the Nuggets had one series that won 6 games last year. I think it was against the Suns.
Yep, they lost. I thought was it 1 game or was it 2? It might have been 2.
Yeah, and I think everybody else. I think the Nuggets will let their foot off the gas too. I mean, you saw last night the Lakers could have easily won that game. So I think they break through at home because there's not such a disparity. How many close games in a row? You can't win 10 5-point games in a row.
Well, they've won literally 10 in a row.
I know. You can't win 11 in a row.
Okay. That's where you draw the
expression.
line.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like the Lakers in game 3. I just think the Nuggets, they have to have a letdown. I mean, Michael Porter has been consistently hot now for way too long for him. He's gonna get
Considering the
cold.
tough week he had last week, I don't think
that. I think it actually is inspiring him to play better. But he's been so hot. There's just no way that he can keep that up. And he's been saving them a lot of times where it looks like they are going to give up a possession. He hits a 3 with no time left on the 24.
Yeah, and it just tough week for him. Obviously, his brother is Jonte Porter, who has been wrapped up in this gambling scandal. His other brother, whose name is escaping right now, is the younger brother who's playing college basketball at the University of Denver, was recently sentenced to 6 years in prison for drunken driving. So it's been a really, really tough week, obviously, for Porter and even tougher for the people who are on the other side.
I think
of that
he's really
accident.
interesting he could really be a breakout NBA star. I mean,
Porter?
I think he is really one of the guys like, whoa, he's young and he is talented. And the fact that he's healthy is incredible. I feel like if they go all the way, he's going to start to get a lot more attention. I wonder if he gets his own team at some point.
Man, it's funny because he had that injury issue and they still paid him anyway. And that at first was looking like a really bad move. And now it's been paying dividends.
Well, they only got, he would have been the number 1 pick, but he fell to 13 because he had no back. But the fact that his back is there, I just think he's an interesting player to watch. Like, wow, could he be one of the top 8 players in the NBA in 3 years? I think so.
So I think I'm probably going to say the Lakers are not going to win a game.
You think they'll get swept?
Yeah, I think the only way it would happen is if the Nuggets go up 3-0 and then they let their foot off the gas and the Lakers win a game at home and then they go finish it off gentleman sweep style in Denver. But I do not think the Lakers are going to win a game. I just... For as mentally tough as LeBron and AD are, I'm sure, I just think this has to be so demoralizing. I mean, again, you've lost every which way you can possibly lose to Denver. You've lost close games or you've played great. Now you lost a game where you had a 20-point lead. You have to just think nothing we do is ever going to be good enough to really get over the hump with these guys. And I do think there is a mental aspect to it.
Yeah, but all you need is a little cold shooting from Denver.
They had that last night.
Yeah, but not. Jokic, Porter, and Gordon were all above 50%. Like they need. This is going to sound like a stretch. They need Jokic not to hit a lot of shots one game.
He's the most consistent player.
I know. That's the problem.
This is not a hot and cold kind of guy. Wow. That show went fast. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Bellotti, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Weedo's Coffee Drinkers, Jim Nagy, who joined us. If you miss any of the show, the Maggie and Perloff podcast is where you got to be. If you could leave us a 5-star review, we'd be so, so grateful. Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.